We're retarded here with daylight savings.
Yeah, I've never understood why that's a thing.
It was for the southern people, actually, wasn't it? For the farming, mostly, or
Most agriculture's in the north.
no? Well, that shows how
South
much
does
I know
cash
about it.
crops like cotton and tobacco.
Your appearance on Press TV the other night, Dawson, was everything.
Oh yeah.
Do they give you any money for that, or do you just do that? Just
No, it's free.
wow, but you know, you're
So,
what was funny is see the story before mine, which is what I agreed to do, was supposed to be about Rittenhouse, but
yeah, you got Rittenhouse in there a little bit, but yeah, you were just talking about the fucking.
That's why I slid that in there because the story before me was fucking awful. They were like, "Oh, he crossed state lines to engage with anti-racist protesters." I just thought, oh my god.
Yeah, oh boy.
These people are just writing with a theme, like, oh yeah, Jacob Blake, whatever. What's that got to do with some guy's car lot in Kenosha? You're just going to bash all the cars and set on fire.
Yeah.
It was a bunch of communists chimping out because they'd gotten a green light from their corporate paymasters to do so, and they got their comeuppance. Yeah. Kyle with a hat trick.
He took a fucking bold stand, Reed, that night for liberty,
I mean, they attacked him. What else are you supposed to do?
Skate or die.
Dude, according to the prosecution, he's supposed to sit there and take a beating, right?
Yeah, I told my my friend the Dawson joke that he died doing what he loved, chasing a minor, and he said that's one of the funniest fucking things he's ever heard about Rosenbaum.
Do you see Rosenbaum? Did you see the meme of Tony Hawk saying do a kickflip and the dead skate or die guy on the road?
Yeah. Ryan, you should sue Tucker Carlson for copyright.
Nah, I mean,
as long as he's
I'm glad he said that because then millions of people heard it,
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes that goes around. When I started God's Not a Real Estate Agent and referring to God's Chosen Lunatics there in Israel, Ray McGovern Israeled that from me. And I think he said it on Horton's show or something. Or
McGovern.
Yeah, it was McGovern. And that was that. And then it was like, God's not a real estate agent. It's become a thing. God gave it to me. I wish more people would make the Don't Israel videos. That shit is powerful because it's funny. It really concises, it's a really concise summation of the issue.
Yeah.
We're stealing land for our race from another people and saying God said it's okay. Just like the song. Yeah. You've heard the Slaying song on my Al Qaeda Christmas album? No?
I'm not sure I have.
It's like an Al Qaeda Christmas album, Reed.
Yeah, it was set to Jingle Bells. And we have God's Chosen Lunatics in there too, since that is Al Qaeda's Air Force, is the Israelis. So it was like, if I can remember, it was like dashing through the homes, over children's bones. Oh, what fun it is to laugh, take pictures with our phones. Chosen one, it's racism on display. We'll cry human shields as we burn their fields and take their land away. Chosen one. And it was like, and then it goes through the whole song, and then it ends with like, on the U.S. dime, this land's all mine, and God said it's okay. You haven't heard it? We did a music video and everything. I wonder why I get banned.
Yeah. By the way, I'm already on my first 12-hour suspension for Rittenhouse comments.
Yeah, if you said Rittenhouse did nothing wrong, you got banned on Twitter. This is why there's such a great chimping, is because Bill Gates is MSNBC, Bill Pedophile Gates. Oh, by the way, do you think that Glenn Maxwell is sitting there like on pure hopium watching the entire left defend Joseph Rosenbaum, the pedophile? He's like, hey, a fellow pedophile has everybody on their side, and that's exactly what Glenn Maxwell is, a pedophile too, and she's on trial on the 29th.
Dude, his bell is it fits into the Jingle Bells thing perfectly too.
Yeah, it could have been like ding ding ding. No, I did a 9/11 Christmas album. We had Frosty the Fireman. I'm dreaming of a white phosphorus. Greetings.
Oh yeah, by the way, Ryan, Mike is sick, so this is our mutual friend Dak we're having on as the fourth guy with us tonight.
All right.
What's up, Dak?
Does he do impersonations?
Not when I'm sober. Hello, Eric. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. It's been a while.
Mm-hmm. It's been a long time since Tulsi's last night in Manchester.
Oh God, yeah, that was February of 20. So
Yes.
we're coming
That
up.
was the last time all three of us were together.
I know.
Yeah, it was a bummer. Bummer of a night. Not the night we wanted to have.
No, it sucked pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, I still got pretty drunk, which was good, but you know,
Your mic is muted, Dak.
He's been self-ovened.
he's self-ovened,
Self-ovened.
still ovened.
I can't believe y'all didn't hear the album, man. I did
There you
we
go.
did a whole
Okay.
CD.
Okay, good.
Now I got you.
We'll have to air it next month for Christmas special.
Oh, you'll get banned in a second.
Well, we'll have to do it your style, like just live stream it and then oven it right away.
Yeah, you could do
Self-oven.
that. I mean, the song about Larry Silverstein is definitely gonna get you yanked.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So, Dak, these are completely unscripted. So you sort of, once we get going live, you just don't wait necessarily for a pause. If you have something to say, you sort of have to just jump on it and get it in.
Okay.
That's sort of how it work.
Very good.
So, just letting you know. It's a little rough, but
So we were talking about the media misinformation on Rittenhouse. They're still idiots. They're like, he ran around as an active shooter shooting black people. And my favorite line, if I hear, I wish I had a dime. He crossed state lines. That's not a crime. And he didn't either.
Reed, I'm going to send you something over text. I don't know if you can show it on the screen at some point.
okay.
And it's an image, but you can continue. Is this Ryan who's here with us?
Yes, hey,
Yes.
Dak.
Okay. Hello, Ryan. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I'm trying to find this image.
Dak is someone who likes to be canceled. So even though he's not familiar with you, Ryan, he's the whole cancel.
Well, I don't
factor.
like it because I've lost hundreds of thousands of dollars from it, so I think it sucks.
Oh,
I think, this is cool. My friend met these Mormons who were selling cancellation insurance. I was like, oh, I would have definitely done that. Well, I've already been smallpoxed off everything, so.
he's been smallpox, Reed.
I couldn't find my
hadn't
native
heard-
hat today. I don't know what happened to it. Maybe my wife's wearing it. Yeah, the blankets were sent, you know. Vimeo stole $6,000, the whole month worth of revenue, and kicked me off, and fucking
There it goes.
PayPal ovened me twice, and then Patreon took $8,000 a month forever away. For, you know, because Gabe Hoff sends him a letter being like, he hurt my feelings on the internet. Well, the dude talks more shit than anybody, right?
Dude, Gabe Hoff was already after me on Twitter when I'd been back
Yeah.
for like 2 days.
He's a professional canceller. I mean, that's all he does. Like, he colored himself blue and put his own name in triple parentheses, and then complained about people put his name in triple parentheses. Like, you did that to yourself.
Is that a
Smurf.
microaggression? Putting the name in triple parentheses?
It depends on like what you mean by it, I guess. I mean, it's like I always thought it was echo chamber, but apparently it just means the J word. So I was like, okay, well then I won't
Is that
use
working?
those.
That's the
The state line cruiser.
crosser.
Has literally been to more than one state. That's my favorite part.
Yeah.
His family haven't spoken to him since they found out he cruises.
Well, the funny thing is all these lefties are against the idea of borders. I thought that was the whole thing.
Well, they thought he crossed state lines with a gun, which he didn't. He
Right.
got the gun in Wisconsin legally,
Right.
and that's just trying to push gun laws. Is all it is.
Yeah.
When I moved from New Hampshire to Iowa, I crossed like 10 state lines with 4 different guns. So I'm not really sure what the significance of that is.
Not shooting anyone at the end of the journey.
Unfortunately not. I would have liked to shoot a lot of people along the way, but
Damn. Playing live action Grand Theft Auto.
Mhm.
Hooker just
We did
sent a
stop in
Australian 20 said, "Morning, boys. Long live Kyle." Hooker lives in the People's Republic of Australia. They don't have guns or freedom.
Nope.
One came right after the other, huh?
Oh, Australia, they lost the plot out
Like,
there, man.
If only anybody had said something like that ahead of time.
Well, since it started as a penal colony to sort of come full circle and fulfilled its purpose.
They had more freedom as a penal colony than they do now. Right now, you can't leave your house for 30 minutes of daylight. It's all they get, unless you're a politician.
It's given new definition to supermax prison, because now it's the idea that an entire continent can be a prison.
Yeah.
It's true.
Well, we got 19 people waiting. That's cool.
Yeah, I totally fucked this up because I'm in New Hampshire right now, so I set it for 8 o'clock p.m. and it was set for 10 p.m. here on YouTube, so I had to fix that, and then I gave Ryan the wrong time because I was used to daylight savings, so we're off to a great start with timing.
Hooray.
Is what it is.
What time does it usually air?
Well, it's on my channel right now, so all this is being aired.
Oh, perfect.
It'll all get erased right at the end, though.
Usually we do 8 Eastern, Jack.
Yeah.
Oh, 8 Eastern, so 7 p.m. Central. Okay, yeah. I'm on Central time now.
Oh, did you move out of New Hampshire?
What's that?
You moved out of New Hampshire?
I did. Yep, I'm in Iowa now.
Oh, no shit. Okay.
Because I got married to, oh my God, it's a little bit difficult, to Christy. Oh, she's walking over here now. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello.
Hey, Christy.
When did you guys actually get married anyway?
What's that?
When did you guys actually get married?
October 15th.
Oh, okay. Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
I guess
Thank you.
Nice.
Yeah, we've been married for over a month now, so it's a good time.
Yeah.
So you're having a
You're
baby in 7 months? I'm just kidding.
What's that?
Living in
Children
sin.
next, I'm saying.
Yeah, probably. We want to raise a real radical, like the next Kyle Rittenhouse, basically. Someone who'll put Rittenhouse to shame.
Oh, aim higher. Go for Ted Kaczynski.
I would be so proud.
All right, cool. Well, we'll go live now. Drop us out, and I'll bring us in one at a time, just like
Cool.
always. I'm good. Did you miss me?
I did a lot. A lot.
I really don't want to get your channel deleted, Reed. That you're asking for serious trouble if I answer that question.
Well, then stop fucking talking about us, man.
How much perceived value do you think we will lose?
Well, I mean, we lose a lot.
The establishment Republicans are not Republican in name only. That's what the GOP is.
So many people want everyone else to come to libertarianism the same way they did.
Right. The slave mentality is praised.
All right. Thanks,
I want
Mike.
your phone to blow up with notifications every time the show is on. Thank you, Reed.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Naturalist Capitalist. I am sorry about all the timing mistakes. That was my fault. I'm in New Hampshire right now. I think I originally had this set for 8 p.m., but it was 8 p.m. Mountain Time. It's supposed to be 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and then they don't do daylight savings in Japan, so I gave Ryan the wrong time. But against all odds, all four of us are here tonight. Thank you for joining us. Coming out of a coronavirus episode and back on the show again, we have Eric Jackman. How you doing, Eric?
Reed, my brother, I'm doing very well, and yep, just coming out of that terrible gift from China, the Kung Flu. It was a terrible gift from the Chinese Communist Party and Hunter Biden, and should have never happened.
And joining us from Japan without daylight savings time is Ryan, whose son has just been exonerated. How you doing, Ryan?
Yes, my adopted son is not guilty on all 5 charges.
He's so proud. He's a proud father.
He should never have even been on trial. Like that whole. How about all the arsonists and stuff they have on film? Are any of them getting arrested? Like they chase around the January 6th insurrection, which Biden also called a white supremacist insurrection. Everything's white supremacist. Fucking peanut butter and jelly's white supremacist. But yeah, it was a good day. Called it. I mean, there was no fucking way any jury could find him guilty. So the left doesn't understand. They don't control the courtroom. You can't just cancel the defense and not let them talk the way they do on social media and mass media. Like, no, they get to have a say too. And when you let the other side speak, God damn, it was fucking hilarious, dude. The prosecution didn't know what the hell to say or what to do. But you still got people being like, my state lines.
And speaking of state lines, we got someone who just left the great state of New Hampshire, moved out to Iowa last year. He's a mutual friend of Eric and mine. You guys have seen him on my show several times. Dak Rouleau from Overwritten. How you doing, Dak?
Your favorite white supremacist is back in the saddle tonight, folks. I have one question about the Kyle Rittenhouse case before we can begin. Did the DA think that those charges made sense when he filed them? Because they didn't at all. Because regardless of what anybody thinks about Rittenhouse's motivations, it was painfully bloody obvious that this was never going to cross the threshold of reasonable doubt. Ergo, that prosecution was, by definition, a show trial that came at great taxpayer expense. It was just a giant thing of bread and circuses designed to get the public exhilarated up to a point before inevitably letting them down. It's the tease and denial at the prosecutorial level.
Well, I think I can answer that question. I don't think they knew or cared because one of the charges was a gun charge, right? They didn't even look up to see what the law was. So like, he's 17, he's carried a gun. Well, in Wisconsin, you can do that. It was a long barrel rifle. Did they measure it or anything? No. They're just like, they called it an automatic weapon, and Biden called it an AR-16. Which doesn't exist, but your AR-16s.
Which would indicate that they knew he was never going to be successfully prosecuted on any of these charges. Yeah. They could not have gone into that case with good faith, which might explain why the prosecutor was so visibly incompetent throughout the whole proceedings. I mean, it's not really a conspiracy theory here. I think it's just a rational analysis of what happened.
Well, they wanted to jail him from like the time between he got arrested and when he had a trial, but he got bail. But it cost an enormous amount of money, and he was banned from GoFundMe and all the money raising sites. And so I think churches got together and got him some money so he would stay out of prison while he was waiting. But they just wanted to punish him because he killed 3 communists. I mean, look at the Democratic base he wiped out. He got a pedophile, a domestic abuser, someone that punched his grandmother in the face, a knife wielder. 4 felons got their comeuppance, or 3 out of 4. And, they hate that. And that's why I think Glenn Maxwell is really excited right now. She's on trial for serial rape and pedophilia and international kidnapping. And she was like, well, if they liked Rosenbaum, they're going to love me.
Yeah, why can't we send Rittenhouse into fucking Ghislaine's prison, to go sort that out? Kyle, where are you? It's Jesse Ventura. I got an assignment for you, big guy.
Yeah, Eric, I think Rittenhouse should be a verb. Like, we're going to go Rittenhouse those people. Or
we're going to Rittenhouse that shit up, man. Yeah. Going to the gun range earlier just to practice and do some Rittenhousing,
I did want to say one thing. What was the name of the man who lost most of his bicep? Was it Gage Grossenkert? Is that his name?
Grosskreutz, right?
Grosskreutz. Okay.
Gross poopy pants.
Okay, I think there's a reason why he's unhappy with Rittenhouse. It's not because he shot him. It's because he didn't kill him. And the reason why I think he's unhappy he lived is because the other 2, Rosenbaum and Huber, right, they got to live every leftist wet dream, which was to be a victim for the SJW cause. They got to die. And I think that if you told them in advance, you're going to go to this protest and you're going to die and you're going to become a martyr for the mainstream left, they would have been delighted. It would have been their wet dream. So Gage is upset only because he's still living. He doesn't get those ultimate victim points.
He got disarmed. Twice.
Yeah, but it's not the same thing. People aren't going to draw pictures of him saying what a beautiful man, and Jacob Blake's uncle isn't going to say what a hero he was. Like those other guys, the blood of their martyrdom will run throughout the streets of Kenosha forever, and that's why they're smiling in death. Grossenkreutz gets left out.
I don't know, man. It was like once the left started learning their history of like one's a serial child rapist, the other one strangled women and knifed up his family and was guilty of breaking and entering and stuff. I guess they would like him. I mean, they like George Fentanyl. He pulled a gun on a pregnant woman and was also doing B&E and used the least of his crimes was his counterfeit money stuff. But he was about to drive a car high out of his mind, and he's got a statue. So yeah, the more degenerate you are, the more and especially if you die. the more the left will love you. But if you murder millions of people is when you get the most love from the left. They got statues of Stalin and stuff out there. The only thing they didn't topple Trotsky, Stalin, and Marx, right?
You get state funerals here in America too when you're a hitman for the empire, like Colin Powell. You know, gave him a nice stage, or John McCain.
Yep.
You ever see the meme of Trump sends off John McCain and it's him like digging a ditch? And it's like, it's incredible. Look, I didn't like him. I never did. We never got along. I was never a fan. So I don't think I will be in death. But I didn't have to okay his funeral, and I did that. I didn't have to do that.
I like my heroes who don't get captured.
I like people who aren't captured.
Ryan, so I put a tweet out the other day saying, you know how everyone says like the Democrats used to be the party of peace.
Man.
I said I made a joke tweet and I was like, I wish the Democrats, you know, the party that got us into World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Kosovo, most of them supported Iraq and Afghanistan, and then they got us into Libya, Syria,
the
and
coup
Yemen.
in Ukraine, exactly.
Yeah, I wish they were still anti-war. It's like, when the fuck was that?
The only brief period Democrats were anti-war was really an anti-Bush thing during the second Iraq War. But they weren't arguing about not going to war. They were like, it should have been multilateral instead of unilateral.
Right.
John Kerry supported the war. And
Franklin Pierce was anti-war.
Franklin Pierce.
So
hey, Paul Wellstone. What about Paul Wellstone, Ryan? He was pretty anti-war.
And he had a plane crash.
Yeah, that plane went down like Meghan McCain at the buffet at Thanksgiving next week.
Yeah,
you know,
did more
shit's
damage
going
than
down.
Meghan McCain at the Golden Corral.
Yeah, my father was
really
tortured for 100 years.
Did they really bar her from Golden Corral?
I wouldn't doubt it.
What
they
they
barred
did,
Rosie O'Donnell.
They had a single entry door, so she can't get in anymore.
Oh my
That's
God.
funny, Dak. Yeah, Franklin Pierce. He was called the Doughface for having Southern sympathies, right?
Yeah, the only president to be born in New Hampshire, and also considered the sexiest president in American history. That is a scholarly fact.
You know who the ugliest was?
Probably Bill Clinton, I would say.
Oh no, Lincoln, dude.
Or possibly Warren Harding. I don't know.
Lincoln smelled the worst too.
But anyway, the thing about Franklin Pierce is
he didn't
believe that
syndrome.
Franklin Pierce didn't think it was worth tearing the country apart to go to civil war, which is a big question. It's a momentous question. A modern day president has to ask whether it's worth going to war over a tweet supporting Kyle Rittenhouse. That's just where our priorities have shifted in the last 150 years.
And that's the name of my alma mater. I went to Franklin Pierce in Ringe in my hometown.
Yeah.
So very
actually,
very proud of Pierce.
When Tim Ryan was running for president and I asked him about Julian Assange, one of the other people who went to his rally, like there were 15 people who went to his rally, and I think the next day he dropped out. Someone asked him if, as president, he would support a movement to change the name of the Franklin Pierce School of Law in New Hampshire.
Really?
Because Franklin Pierce was a Southern.
And name it George Floyd University or something?
Probably.
Do you know who else wanted to secede in the North? New York City. All of it.
Really?
Yeah, it was on January 6, 1861. New York City had a secession movement because they didn't want to pay the export taxes either. They're like, you either forced South Carolina to do it or we're seceding too. January 6th.
January 6th has a deep meaning throughout American history.
You know, I would like to think I'd be anti-slavery in the 19th century. I can't say for sure, but I don't know that I would have actually supported a civil war to end it. If it was
that's not what the war was about at all.
Yeah, I don't.
7 northern states had slaves through the duration of the war and after. They weren't fighting to end slavery.
But even if they were, I don't know that I could have been brought to actually be willing to put my life on the line to end that institution. I think a lot of people today like to think that they would.
There's a bunch of other ways to end it without murdering everybody.
Yes, this was the only country on earth that had a civil war to end slavery, wasn't it?
No, there was no country on earth that had a civil war to end slavery.
Touche.
They had a civil war to collect the revenue. Slavery ended after Lincoln was dead. Lincoln was going to send him to Panama to dig a canal, so was Grant. Andrew Johnson ended slavery. 13th Amendment, which the northern states refused to ratify on its first go-around. If if they were going to fight over slavery, they would have done a constitutional amendment to end slavery before the war. They did the exact opposite. They offered a constitutional amendment to enshrine slavery, which the South rejected, because that's not why they were seceding. They were seceding over the tariff issues. That's why the western part of Virginia, which is not on the coast and not affected by the tariff, stayed in the Union, and the eastern part of North Carolina and the East Tennessee, West Carolina also wanted to remain in the Union sympathizers. They weren't fighting over slavery. It pisses me off to no end. They're like, this really triggers me. They're like, oh, the North ended slavery. Like, you didn't. And you still had Chinese slaves way after the war. The coolie trade, they used them to build a railroad all the way to California long after the Civil War. Black slavery ended with the 13th Amendment. And the last 3 states to end slavery were all in the North: Kentucky, Delaware, and New Jersey. When they Juneteenth or whatever, Texas ended slavery before New Jersey and Delaware and Kentucky and a whole bunch of places. The only northern state that ended slavery during the Civil War was the capital, Washington, D.C. The rest kept their slaves, and they all still had Asian slaves. And they tried to enslave Native Americans, but that didn't work because Custer got killed. And this is General Custer from Gettysburg, right? Got his ass beat by Crazy Horse. I wish General Lee had some communication with the Lakota during the war.
Going back to Juneteenth, do you suspect that we're going to see what kind of marketing is there going to be about Juneteenth next year? Like this year, it didn't seem like anybody really cared about it. I think next year there's going to be a lot of pressure for people.
I don't
to
know, but it's
celebrate
completely inaccurate. Like all the stuff I just rattled off is like basic shit that you can look up, and they just don't know. And you've got the president of the United States saying Juneteenth, that's when slavery ended. Like, no, it isn't. It's like
that aside,
slavery ended December 6th.
People will be coerced and compelled to celebrate the holiday. I'm wondering what kind of is it going to be a day where the president makes a long-winded speech? Is there going to be
they already banned horses from the border?
Yeah, what are the corporations going to do like they do with the rainbow flag for a month, and they put rainbows on everything and the pandering? What kind of pandering are we going to see? Is that what you're wondering?
They already banned the horses. You remember Horsewhip Gate? Someone took a picture of a border patrolman with his reins, and they're like, "Oh yeah." It looked like it reminded people of slavery, the kind they saw in Hollywood, where they just chased them around on horses and whipped people, which never happened. And they're like, well, it looks like it. So we're going to ban, even though they knew no one got hit with a whip or a rein. It was just some Haitian guy in the foreground and a guy on a horse in the background with his reins. They were like, we're going to ban horses. So now the Border Patrol can't use horses. But the whole time, they've been doing that for Latin American migrants and stuff. But then when they're Haitian migrants, because they're a different color, and someone took a picture of the horse, they're like, oh my God, I'm a slavery. Fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, but I think the thing with all this is, you could actually make some sort of change that, so like the Black Lives Matter movement, it's supposedly about police reform, but they never actually push for anything having to do with police reform. Like they never talk about any meat and potatoes issues. It's all virtue
signal. Just defund it. That's their only thing, right?
Yeah, well, it's more like nationalize it, not even defund it. Like they don't even want to get rid of the police. They want it, like Elon Omar and I forget who the other person was. They were talking about creating a nationalized police force. So it went from defund the police to nationalize the police really quickly. And whenever you have someone like Rand Paul or Justin Amash who wants to end qualified immunity or end no-knock raids or end anything like that, it doesn't get any traction. They get, Rand Paul's a racist
red
for
flag
opposing
laws.
red flag laws, any of that stuff.
I always thought the move to defund the police was about an effort to privatize the police. I thought they wanted to remove that from the public services that we receive, and they wanted that to be handled basically by corporations. That was what I thought every time I heard one of them say it, because I knew they couldn't be serious about having no police force whatsoever.
The police force is a corporation with private prisons. The police exist to make revenue for the state. They don't do anything when people are actually rioting. They just collect traffic tickets and parking tickets and stuff is mostly all they do.
Yeah, what do you call them? Road pirates?
Yeah, I call them road pirates.
The road pirates.
But he's got a badge and a fancy hat. He can take my money. We have to have umpteen cop and lawyer shows of all this propaganda of cops chasing down the bad guys and stuff. It's like, our press won't even report it when there's international rape rings and stuff. Like, they approached them so many times about Jeffrey Epstein for about 8 years in between the time he first got arrested and the next time, and they didn't give a fuck. They're like, kill that story. Too many rich, important people are involved. Bill Gates is free. Hillary's free. You have career criminal. Hunter Biden's free. He's on fucking film, smoking crack and meth and acquiring hookers and doing illegal deals all over the world, including selling nuclear secrets to China, right? And he gets to sell art, like
his art.
They were more interested in prosecuting Kyle Rittenhouse than Hunter Biden.
Did I tell you, Ryan, that I brought Hunter to the Vatican with me to meet the Pope? He came with me and he brought his crayons. Did he shit himself
like his dad?
He colored a picture. He brought his brown crayons and colored a picture of all the shit in my diaper. And you know why listen, here's the deal.
You got a colonoscopy?
I shit myself, Ryan, because the Pope said, I got young boys you can smell. I said, no, I want to smell young girls. He said, I only got boys. So I shit myself in protest.
Did you see that girl karate block him? He was doing his typical hair sniffing, creepy old man thing. And she was like, whoop-pow, like elbowed his hand out of the way. No, it's just...
well, that's not behavior you'd see in the Vatican.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, the whole sniffing children thing, apparently at the Vatican, that's not really discouraged. There was what was it in France? There were like what was that report I sent you, Eric? 50,000 cases of child rape.
Going back historically, 50, 60 years, and that's got to be a low estimate of child abuse. It's I mean, and that's just one country. We know the Catholic Church is the world's largest pedophile mafia that has its own bank, its own country, its own head there, the figure, the Pope. But the Pope's a great guy. He's one of the best African American skiers I've ever seen. God damn it, God love his soul. God bless his soul.
Did you hear Biden's The Great Negro speech?
Yeah, he said that about an old baseball player, right? Oh.
Wait, so Ryan, who's worse, Biden or Lincoln on the speeches? Yeah,
stinking Lincoln.
If you say who's worse, Dak, Lincoln or I'm just going to say Lincoln.
So, Dak, what's going on out in Iowa, man? What are you chasing down out there?
Not a whole lot to chase down. It's an interesting state politically in that I don't think it's organized as New Hampshire. I think that the Iowan state government is definitely a lot more dysfunctional, I would say. They seem to have a much more difficult time with some of the basic things like clearing the streets of snow, for example. But their governor has been pretty vocal in her opposition to masks and mask mandates and hopefully vaccine mandates. I did hear that OSHA had suspended the vaccine requirement that Biden had arbitrarily introduced because I wasn't sure that was ever going to hold up in court. I think Biden just threw that out there in order to try to get people to become vaccinated before January, whenever. But as far as Iowa goes, it is interesting to see it as like a Midwestern American city that sort of portends the upcoming dissolution of America, the decay of America. You can see that the city is very overcrowded. The infrastructure is not built to withstand this massive population. And there's definitely a lot of meth use out here. People seem to be very desperate about their economic circumstances. So I think it's kind of a microcosm of middle America in a sense, even though it does have a semi-major city.
Didn't you say when you went out there to the caucus in 2019 or 2020 that it was like the most dysfunctional thing you'd ever seen in your life?
The Iowa caucus, I can't think of one single argument that anyone could make to defend the caucus system. Basically, for those who don't know, a primary system is like a general election. You can go to the polls at any time of day and cast your vote whenever. You walk in, you walk out. The caucus system, you have to arrive at, I think it was 7 or 8 o'clock at night. That was the only time you could show up. And they make you go through this tedious hours-long process where you have to do a show of hands, and then for your candidate. So basically, this is what happened: was there were very few people for Biden. There was nobody there for Tulsi, except for, of course, Christy Doff, and there was nobody else. Most of the people were there for Bernie Sanders or Pete Buttigieg. And so what eventually happened was all of the people who were there for like Amy Klobuchar or Andrew Yang, well, not Andrew Yang, yeah, Elizabeth Warren and Amy Klobuchar, they eventually went to Pete Buttigieg's camp. And the people who were voting for Andrew Yang went to Bernie Sanders' camp. And so basically, if you were to look at the caucus results at the end of the night, you would see 50% of the votes for Bernie Sanders and 50% for Pete Buttigieg and 0% for anybody else. And this is what you sit through 3 hours for, just to see your candidate bounce in a simple game of numbers. Yeah, the caucus system is idiotic. It's impractical. It's dysfunctional, and there's no. It's also inconvenient. Like if you are working at that time of night and you can't get the night off work, you can't vote. I don't see any reason to sustain that tradition except for tradition.
So it's basically the same result as ranked choice voting. And what happens with ranked choice voting, unless you, I mean, if everyone fills out a 2, 3, 4 option. Yeah. Then you end up with just 2 results at the end of it, right? It's only if you were to just fill out one option that yours would end up in the final tally, unless that person was at the top, right?
Yeah, ranked choice voting, as this cat tries to get into the live stream. Ranked choice voting is really just an attempt to delegitimize third-party candidates. With ranked choice voting, it allows you to vote for a third-party candidate on the first ballot, but then on the second ballot allows you to vote for the major party candidate of your choosing. So you're basically voting for the duopoly in the end. Right. You vote for the duopoly in the end. It's just a matter of delaying your vote. And so ranked choice voting is kind of a litmus test for me. When I hear people say that they support ranked choice voting, to me that indicates that they're very easily misled.
Can you mail in your vote like 200 times?
What's that?
Can you mail your vote in like 100 times? I like that system. Let's just let people mail it in and have no way of checking whether they came from that address or not, because Corona or something.
Yeah, the use of mail-in voting in this last election, it was. There would be nothing wrong with mail-in voting in theory, but the way that they said, let's have mass mail-in voting all at once with just basically a few weeks' notice, and nobody's going to have to worry about this massive change to the system. It is interesting how everyone just sort of shrugged their shoulders at that.
Signature verification or something like they did have in Florida, but they didn't in some states, and all of them went to Biden in the middle of the night. What a coincidence.
Come on, man.
Yeah, but the thing is, like you said, Ryan, there was a guy that I had on my show when we were running that you could do it mail in, and you could verify it. Like you could, to get your mail in ballot, you could go get it at any time, and you just have to provide proof, with a license or
the
something.
ID
and then
is still involved. Exactly.
Right.
So we got. Oh, sorry, Reed, I cut you off.
Voter ID is racist, though, according to half the Democratic Party, because they don't think black and brown people can find the DMV. And that's not racist.
Yeah, that's not racist. So, Ryan, do you think there's so much focus on the Rittenhouse case to draw away from Ghislaine Maxwell? Do you think? I mean, because it was like Dak was saying, it was such a stupid, retarded case to try to throw at the kid. Do you think it's like to draw heat away from it, or do you think they're not connected at all?
Well, I mean, her case doesn't start till the 29th, and but. They don't have to draw away from it. There's already no attention on it, Like the people involved in the Epstein Maxwell case is entirely online, always has been, and increasingly, we've been censored as well. So that case is too big. I mean, you're talking about Les Wexner, the Dubins, Gates, like all these prominent billionaires, Leon Black. If you really get into it, now the media version is Prince Andrew, Bill Clinton, sometimes Trump, because of Acosta. They're not talking about the backbone of finance for Jeffrey Epstein, or they don't get into his white collar crimes at all. It's just the kiddie fiddling part. And then even that's limited. But some of the written press, Vanity Fair, Miami Herald is covering it. It's just, what we're going to have to see, because a lot of people, just like with elections, they wait till a week before to start getting excited about it. And her trial starts on the 29th, but I don't think they're going to do a camera in the courtroom the way they did Rittenhouse. So, you know, people are going to be covering it from the steps or whatever. But this is the biggest story. I've never seen a bigger divide between public interest in something and media lack of interest in something, right? Like any little nugget of information you have on the Epstein case, everybody wants to know. But that's why you know it's not just clickbait. Like if the media wanted to make a lot of money, they'd be covering the Epstein trial. But they are avoiding that like the plague because it involves a lot of their bosses. You know?
Yeah, they're fucking, those people are all in on it. Absolutely.
Yeah, MSNBC, the MS is Microsoft. You've got 4 different top-level Microsoft employees plus Bill Gates himself visiting the islands and the rape mansion in New York.
So I know we got 8 days till it starts, but I'll start first. My prediction is I think Ghislaine she's going to probably try to do everything she can to save herself and maybe throw some other people under the bus. But who is there for her to really throw under the bus at this point? You know, because Jean-Luc Brunel has been arrested. You know, Andy over in Britain. Nothing's going to happen to Prince Andrew. I mean, he's weathered the thing.
Yeah, they'd kill her too.
Like you said, Ryan, they're not going at the blacks, the higher up mega group type people. They're all going to be fine. So really, I mean, could it just be some logistical people that she could throw under the bus who were part of the flights?
Sarah Kellen, some of the other groomers,
your Kellens, those kind of people.
Yeah,
so
low level.
I don't really think anything huge is really going to happen. I don't think there's going to be any really big bombshells, particularly that are going to be dropped. What do you guys think?
She's going to play the victim and act like it was all Epstein because he's dead and she was just in love with him and left him and had, you know, I didn't do nothing. She's a fucking serial liar. She lies to herself. You know, those
I don't think
socialite
really
type of people, you know.
I don't think she'd really be able to throw anybody under the bus because, as we were saying, the media is not covering the story. So even if she were to run to the media and say all of these people were in on it, the media would just ignore the story. So I don't know what like ammunition she would even have because it's ultimately useless.
They'd have to offer like, hey, do you want to go to general population? You want to not have rats in your shower? You better give us some info because you're going to be in jail the rest of your life regardless. They have tons of evidence on her. But her family is doing a big PR campaign saying she just wanted to save the oceans.
Terramar. Did I tell you about my Terramar project? Yeah, her family's fucking grotesque, disgusting. Her brother's there groveling. Ghislaine is a good person. She's being railroaded. Jeffrey is guilty of all this. She's not guilty of anything. It's like, give me a fucking break, dude.
There was one thing. I was in... what is that town? Is that not Concord, New Hampshire, where the prison is? Is that in Merrimack?
Yeah.
Oh, it is Concord. Oh, okay. Yeah, I should know that because I was living in Concord at the time. But I went to outside that jail the night that she was supposedly being held there, and there was no security at all. There wasn't even a police or a guard cruiser moving around the premises. I went up right up to the door just to see if there was a guard hanging out there, just to see if I could ask some questions, and there was no one there at all. I'm not convinced that she was actually in that jail that night. I think that they were saying she was in that jail, but she had probably already been transported to New York. That was last summer. That is 2020.
Right, in July there. Yeah, I mean, I went out to her house the day after the feds came. We went out to Bradford, New Hampshire, and there was a soy British reporter from The Guardian who drove up from New York. And I didn't walk all the way up to the gate, but I was down at the bottom. And we talked to the neighbors, and neighbors are like, we never saw anybody. We had no idea there was really even anyone living up there. And it was way out in bumfuck Bradford, New Hampshire, out in the woods. So, I don't see, unfortunately, you know, because we've talked about this, Ryan, and anyone who...
By the way, your buddy, that ass clown that went with you, got on Reed's show and did exactly what I said. Still denies airplanes, still a fucking idiot.
I haven't had a chance to talk to Burmis about any of that.
He's a fucking idiot.
Oh, come on.
He was still denying airplanes, man. God, let it go. Like, he's a fucking moron. He's like one of the guys that helped derail 9/11 and turn it into a kookastrophe. Is the guys from Loose Change, and in all of them, the rest of the other two, the heroin addict and the other fucker, I'm like, okay, we were kids, we were wrong. Burmis is the only one still fucking preaching the line.
What is this? Burmis is saying there were no planes on 9/11?
Yeah, he's like, the 93 was shot down and the missile hit the Pentagon. That's his thing. Like,
So
fucking dumb.
he said that. He said he doesn't think that 93 hit the Pentagon.
93 didn't hit the Pentagon.
Or sorry,
77.
77. Yeah, he didn't say. He said 77 didn't hit the Pentagon.
Yep.
Reed.
He did say he didn't even think Flight 11 at 175 hit the Twin Towers. He said that in my video too.
Yeah, he went
So wait,
full.
they
He's
would
not
be-
even a
there's
half
computer
planer.
generated images. Then?
He's a
there's
full
no way
fucking
he-
airplane
he's-
denier.
He's not a no planer at the World
Yeah, he
Trade
is.
Center.
He said he was. I mean,
No, he's
I
not.
like Herm. Dude, that's what he said on my show. I don't know, but
Well, I went out to Ghislaine's house with him. It was very interesting to go out there, and we got some good footage out there. But yeah, they're not going to go with the money. They're not going to go with the mega group. The Clintons are probably fine, unfortunately, and Trump will be fine. Look, I don't know, Ghislaine Maxwell.
Bill Clinton
we were down
looks
in Palm
stressed
Beach.
out about it, though. He's on his
Oh,
fucking death's edge.
he's probably a little stressed, but yeah, I don't think any of the big players are going to anything's going to really happen here. I don't know.
I mean,
You
Maxwell
wanna see it
herself
happen.
was a player. But we got Burnell,
Yeah.
we got Rainier.
You got to
we
celebrate
got
the white
Nygaard,
pills.
you know.
Yeah. I would just like to see her waterboarded. We should waterboard her in Minnesota. Bring her out there, bring some Gatorade, and waterboard the bitch. See
Tar
what
and
she has
feather.
to say. Give me
You
a
know
hat.
what's interesting about that Prince Andrew interview he did with the BBC back in I think it was January of last year? You know what's interesting about that is if you go back, because I watched the whole thing after Ghislaine Maxwell was arrested. For 45 minutes, he's up there saying, no, I had no relationship to Jeffrey Epstein. My relationship was with Ghislaine Maxwell.
Right.
Well, even if you take him at his word, that doesn't exactly make you look very good now, does it? I mean, I would be surprised if they don't pull that video from YouTube eventually, because it's him for 45 minutes admitting that he was close friends with that woman. I mean, the idea that they couldn't bring that back for questioning on him, it doesn't even make any sense.
I don't sweat. I just don't recall. I don't ever recall ever meeting this woman that I'm in a picture with my arm around her waist with that Mossad bitch smirking in the background. It just never happened. It just simply never happened.
Yeah, he's just got a 17-year-old American girl in a
Yeah,
British Socialite
she's-
house. And
Yeah, they just happened to be there hanging out. They were having some cheese and wine, It was no big
If he was
deal.
doing it as often as it seems, he may be telling the truth. He may not remember
He
that
visited-
specific victim.
He visited Peter Nygaard, too, who's also in jail, and
Yeah,
hung out
he's
with that
disgusting,
pedophile.
too.
He actually had a family vacation of 6 days that he cut short.
Yeah, he brought the
He
kids.
spent 4 of the days in the Bahamas with Peter Nygaard, and then the rest with his ginger wife or whatever. But yeah, and what are you doing hanging out? And Peter Nygaard's what, 80 now? He's up there.
He's old.
Right?
He's
So you're
gross.
hanging out with some 70-year-old something guy in the Bahamas just cause what, your buddies?
Yeah, you like him.
He's a fucking career.
Like his clothing line.
He did it Burnell style where he would drug the girls and knock them out and then rape them in the ass and stuff. That's what he did. And he's in prison. And Andrew, that's why I said on the last year's calendar, Prince Andrew is the Kevin Bacon of pedophile rings. He's friends with all these people.
It is weird though how they can't take him down, because it's not as if he's the king. He doesn't have any realistic chance of becoming the king. You would think he wouldn't be that high ranking within the royal family, but if he's
He is
untouchable,
being
then that
sued.
shows you how high ranking they all must be, or how important they all.
It's very hard to serve him papers, so he just runs away. But, it makes the royal family bad that they're protecting him. They should throw him under the bus. It's like, it ain't us. That was him. But they all have skeletons in their closet. This is the problem. So,
Yeah.
But the public has forgotten this case. I mean, I don't know that it's actually the NPCs of this country have long since moved on from it. It's little more than a memory for them now that Epstein was found dead in his cell.
None of them cared except, the only time and the only reason it had any attention was when they thought it went to Trump because of Acosta. They're like, with the sweetheart deal, he was part of the sweetheart deal. They're like, Donald Trump's in pictures with Jeffrey Epstein, Donald Trump this and that. When they thought they had something on Trump, the media was losing their mind about it. When that didn't pan out, they're like, oh, it's just the Clintons and the royal family and Tony Blair and Ehud Barat and all these other leaders of different nations. Oh, who cares? Because it's not a Republican. I have a whole big giant Epstein map. There's 12 billionaires out of the 55 most prominent people. 12 of them are billionaires, not millionaires, billionaires. Most of them are, all of them Zionists, and almost all of them on the left wing. It's but Trump's married into the Kushner family, and they set up honey traps using hookers. Like Charles Kushner set up his own brother-in-law.
Chris Christie took him down for that. Yeah.
He did. He
Incredible.
did. And
You know,
they punished
you were
him with
asking
that with Bridgegate.
We were asking earlier, though, if the Rittenhouse trial was being publicized in order to distract from Ghislaine Maxwell. I don't think so. But I do think this raises a question about why minors are being subjected to this kind of media circusry in the first place. Because Nicholas Sandmann has been brought back to be interviewed. And I think I said this on Reed's show the last time I was on. I don't care if Nicholas Sandmann was shouting every racial epithet he can think of. If he was 17 years old at the time, then the media should have ignored the story. The idea
16.
that he, as a minor, was somehow fair game to this mass media apparatus was grossly inappropriate. And the same thing with Rittenhouse. Even if Rittenhouse was found guilty, or could be found guilty, why did he deserve to be shoved in front of a camera? Why did the media choose to focus on this story? I just think it should send the message that minors should not be fair game in this media warfare. But in both of these cases, nobody has focused on that element. Instead, it's just about, was he actually guilty? Was he actually guilty of what he was accused of? That's beside the point.
Yeah. Well, the left likes to abuse children. I mean, that's why they're supporting a serial rapist with Joseph Rosenbaum and stuff. They're trying to, I mean, the left is, these are the group of people that think it's okay to give hormones to 6-year-olds and let 3-year-olds identify their gender and stuff. It's child abuse. I mean, that's why they're leftists, probably. Like they did with Sandman. That whole thing was the media. He didn't do anything except stand still at the Lincoln Memorial where he's supposed to be to meet with the rest of his school or whatever, wearing a hat that they didn't like. And first, I think it was the Black Hebrew Israelites were just yelling all this anti-Semitic stuff and anti-white stuff. And then, what's his name? Philip, the fucking Mapayaneo is what we call him. This Native American guy gets in there banging a drum in his face because you're like, ooh, he's got a hat. He must have been, these black guys are yelling at him. It must be that little kid's fault. You got grown-ass adults just yelling the craziest shit ever, and he's just standing there taking it, And then this guy who was in a Skrillex video, I hate this fucking guy. He used to go to the Vital powwows all the way down in Virginia. I'm like, what are you doing here? Because he's from the Northwest. He's a fucking token, I'm a victim Indian, which most Native Americans just ain't into that SJW crap. Most Native Americans are veterans and stuff, they're proud of the country, but he gets in his face and the media just made a story up. They're like, well, we get to virtue. They're on such a fucking hard-on and witch hunt to condemn racism that they invent it so they can condemn it. And you could tell this guy was 16 or 17 years old. He's still in high school. Didn't matter. I mean, that's what you said is very true. Like they a young kid, fuck him. Let's ruin his life, right? They called him a racist on CNN, on MSNBC. They were like, this fucking racist. He was all over Twitter. Look at that smirk. There were leftist celebrities saying they wanted to cut his head off and punch him in the face and all this crazy shit. And he literally did fucking nothing. Sat there. At one point, he nervously smiled or whatever, which is not illegal. And they're like, he's laughing at this Indian. And it was the complete opposite. He was being harassed by leftist lunatics. He was a victim of racism from the Black Hebrew Israelites. Nothing happened to any of them. Like, they exonerated Nick, but the Native American guy that got in his face and the black guys that were screaming at him, nobody gives a shit. Nobody gives a shit what they did and all the racist crap they were saying. I mean,
I want to see Sandman team up with Kyle.
Oh,
in
yeah.
Their own show.
Well, I think they should co-own CNN after they're done suing them, but
I think they should both come on the Four Horsemen. At least Kyle Rittenhouse.
Everything.
Kyle Rittenhouse is doing an interview. Yes, he's doing an interview on Tucker Carlson tomorrow night. I might actually watch it. I think Tucker Carlson is overrated, but it would be nice to see what he has to say.
Yeah.
Tucker is good for a talking head on TV, but my standards for them is pretty damn low.
It's like you said, when we're like hoping Larry Elder wins California,
right?
Straight.
we've arrived.
Like at least Larry Elder believes in boys and girls. That's how fucking low my bar is. Like, wow.
The thing about the left and children, though, is also, and this is something that's been bothering me more and more in recent years, is the way that they fetishize abortion, where abortion in the mainstream left, this is not a fringe thing anymore, is it's seen as like a rite of passage for young women. That a young woman coming of age, getting an abortion is like learning to drive a car or something like that. It's just something that, of course, you do as an
your
American
first
woman.
abortion.
You exercise your right to an abortion.
You're gonna get your Margaret Sanger stripes.
Yeah, and it's just so tasteless. I mean, there's something really disturbing. CNN ran an article, a feature once called "Why Women Have Abortions," and there were these two women who had had abortions smirking on the front page of the website, like coming to be interviewed about how proud they are that they terminated a pregnancy. And I mean, you can have your own opinion of abortion, think it should be safe, rare, and legal, whatever. But the idea that it really is seen as like some kind of honorable action, like a woman who has an abortion is a hero somehow.
It's
like,
at best like a reluctant thing you do because you're weighing the pros and cons and consequences, and it's not something you're proud that you got to do. Like you're doing something to correct a mistake, right? You have an unwanted child. That's yeah.
I mean, I guess I am encouraged by the fact that we're having conversations in mainstream society now about what children are being taught, what children are being exposed to, what values they're being brought up with. And I might not agree with the right on every point, but the idea that parents are at least taking some interest, they're waking up from their television-induced stupor for a little while. I mean, that is encouraging.
Yeah, I mean,
well, they're getting arrested for that, though.
I'm actually happy that they're trying to teach critical race theory in public schools. Now the Republicans are finally realizing, oh, public schools are fucking horrible. We should abolish the Department of Education. And it's like, yes, we should. Thank you for finally getting on board. I mean, like,
the Department of Ed just making money off the student loans gambit, and you'd still have public schools without the Department of Ed, but they don't really teach anything in school anymore other than racial identity politics. I mean, it's just they beat that into every fucking subject. They got rid of an advanced math class in Virginia because they said it was racist or unequitable or whatever because they didn't have enough of whatever certain categories taking the class. That is ridiculous.
That was why
it's fucking math.
That was why I decided not to become a teacher. Was I did a teaching demonstration day at Concord High School, and saw what is going on in those schools. They had eliminated the whole idea that there's advanced classes and then the more remedial classes. They had eliminated that. What's that?
That's classist to have classes.
Yeah, they were putting the most.
You're acknowledging some people are more talented than others in certain subjects. How dare you?
They were mixing the most gifted students with the dumbest, and it was very clear that it was not productive in the classroom. It was resulting in disruption, and I was so demoralized at the end of that day that I decided not to pursue the teaching degree. It was not worth subjecting myself.
How far did you get, Dak, in that? Because I tried to become a teacher myself, and I'm so glad that I failed. Dude, I am so glad I didn't become a teacher. One of my best friends this was his last week teaching. He's fucking done, man. He's going into the private sector, and he was a teacher for almost 20 years. And it has just turned the fucking clown world in our schools now, dude, is, I don't know. So, but how far along in that process were you, Dak? Were you pretty serious about it? Like going for certification and shit?
Well, no, I have a bachelor's in English, and so I decided I would go to get like a master's in education. So I took only one class. I went to 4 different schools in New Hampshire, and you'd be surprised. Some of the more right-wing towns that supposedly don't give a whole lot of taxpayer dollars to their teachers actually had better schools. Laconia High School, which for those who are watching the show from New Hampshire know, Laconia is stereotyped as this like, the town that God forgot. Yeah, it's seen as like this old-fashioned atavistic right-wing school. Or city actually had a pretty respectable high school. I went in there and thought that the teachers were good, the students were being taught decent literature, and I liked what I saw. But then you go to a more progressive city like Concord with a much larger student body, and I did honestly feel suicidal at the end of that day. I was just like,
Jesus.
This is my life. 35 students per class. They're disruptive. The criminals are put in with the serious students who are serious about their education. It was so dysfunctional, but the class structure was obliterated strictly for political reasons. The superintendent had done it because he thought it would make him look good, and it probably did politically.
Ted,
but yeah, I
have hierarchy.
I just think that modern education system is unnecessary. I mean, I feel like the education should be done mostly in the home, and so this idea that you need to be going in. I mean, if you're serious about literature, for example, you can come to that on your own. Do you think these books I have behind me were assigned to me by my teachers. No, there were things that I read on my own, and that goes for any other serious discipline. Like I disagree with the whole philosophy of education in the United States.
Well, the thing is, like, you know, that PEMDAS, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, and
Yes.
in mathematics, that's what parentheses, exponents, multiplication, addition, division,
addition, subtraction.
yeah, whatever. That's sexist now because you're saying your Aunt Sally. Yeah. So we got to redo it.
Don't gender my dear Aunt Sally. I was enrolled in a master's in ed program, Dak, to become a secondary ed social studies teacher.
Oh.
And I got to the point where I passed the social studies praxis. I passed all of the reading and writing ones, and I just could not pass the fucking math praxis. So that stopped. I've never been good at math, and that kind of stopped my whole track towards teaching, and it didn't happen for me, luckily.
This might be a bit of a fringe subject, but something that's brought up constantly in this education debate. These Democrats want to talk about Toni Morrison, an author that they have never read. They just pretend to have read her since she died a couple of years ago. I actually have some experience reading Toni Morrison, and I can tell you right now, not only is she an extremely overrated author, but I don't think that all of this material is appropriate for a middle school classroom. Like the book that they like to talk about now is The Bluest Eye, which is about a teenage girl being raped by her pseudo father, and this sort of these grotesque things happen to her. And I'm not saying it's a terrible book, but I'm saying that if you're including,
I thought that was the Biden diary.
No. But if you're teaching that in a classroom, trying to get students to, like high school students, to be engaged in the material, how do you think they're going to react to that? They're going to be interested in it only at a superficial level because it's squalid and it's controversial and it's disturbing and it's sexualized. You're not going to have a serious conversation with students about that, at least until they're in adulthood. So the other book they like to talk about is Beloved, which is about a slave who kills her child because she doesn't want her to be raised by white people. And again, I don't know that a high schooler can seriously relate to that kind of material. I mean, is that something that a high schooler is going to have the emotional maturity to process? Personally, I don't think so.
Not many of them. Maybe a handful. Not many.
No, well, the thing is, it's funny that, there's all this criticism of violence and, how that leads to shootings or whatever, like people are saying. I mean, even the prosecutor was drawing that parallel with Rittenhouse because he played Call of Duty or whatever. But then they want this type of stuff to be taught to their kids. It's like, wait a second, like
he actually tried to blame video games.
There was, I just want to say this, before the election of 2020, Kamala Harris was interviewed on CNN, and she went to Brown University where Toni Morrison wrote one of her books. If you watch that interview, Kamala Harris cannot remember the name of the Toni Morrison book that she pretended to have read. She said, "Oh, I was in this storm where Toni Morrison wrote."
God.
Well, she was way into in college when those dates didn't line up either. So
she had to have been kidding when she said Tupac was her favorite rapper alive. I cannot believe she's really that stupid. Is that possible for her to be that dumb?
I mean, you saw her she tried to do that French accent over in France. That was fucking cringe.
I didn't.
God, she's so retarded, dude. Kamala is just, they just don't know what to do with her. Biden's like, God damn it, put her in the closet so I can smell her whenever I want.
Do you remember?
Have you noticed the way they filter
AOC's fake Southern accent when she was down south? It's like, bitch, everyone's seen you speak already. All of a sudden, did you get an accent?
Have you noticed the way they filter her photos, though? When they're trying to say she's mainstream, they really emphasize the paleness of her skin, but when they're trying to say how she's the first minority vice president and so on and so forth, they really darken the filter on her photos. It's almost like they put her in blackface. It's creepy.
Well, I have what audience she's talking to.
She doesn't. I mean, she looks like a white person with dark hair in some photographs, and then in others, like she's the first. I mean, her qualifications to be vice president was having a brown vagina. And because they're just all about intersectionality and
true.
Yeah, Willie Brown's vagina.
Hey, Obama called her the sexiest VA or something, sexiest prosecutor.
Wait, so I feel bad saying this with no women on the stream, but the only way that a woman has ever received presidential powers is because a man needed a colonoscopy. Like that's still true so far. So.
Oh, is she technically president because he went under?
She was.
That would have made her president pro temp.
Give her the power to smell, the
Well,
power
she
to
wasn't.
bomb.
She didn't be. People say she became the president. No,
No.
she didn't, because George W. Bush, when he had a colonoscopy, Dick Cheney did not become the president. He just
No,
assumed
but they
presidential
have
power.
they have the powers for a little while.
Powers.
It's
Yeah.
called, it's
I
called
have a
President
video.
Pro Temp.
I have a video coming out next week about Kamala Harris and how the media is obsessed. Well, really, the establishment is obsessed with protecting its investment that is Kamala Harris. Because all jokes aside, the Democratic Party has spent so many millions of dollars trying to create this product that is Kamala Harris. And the public just has responded they don't like it. Even in the Democratic Party primaries, where people would like her more than they would in any other context, she couldn't even make it to the Iowa caucus.
Oh, she was horrible.
Well,
Right,
Tulsi
and
had something to do with that.
Well, I think it was actually when Tulsi had that exchange with her on the debate stage. I think Kamala's corporate donors saw that and said, "Okay,
fuck.
we cannot." Yeah, that's what I think it was. They said,
She was like, "Aloha, bitch."
Yeah, right. So
Playing
if
the
she can't
ukulele
get
at
any
her.
traction in the Democratic Party, how is she supposed to get traction in general election?
That was the greatest thing to see. I saw that live. Tulsi hooked me up with tickets to that debate, so I got to see her fucking smack that bitch down live in person, and that was a great moment. But look, I love that they're propping up fucking Mayor Cheat now. Over at the department. He's in the trans department where they have all the tranny things. Department of Tranny. Okay, he's doing a great job with Department of the tranny thing. Okay, him and Chasten just gave birth to little baby elephants, and they're so beautiful. Okay, he got 18 months of maternity leave. It was unbelievable. So the Democrats want to push Kamala to the side and put little Mayor Cheat out there with Chasten, and let's see what happens.
But you're going to see space and the craters on the moon with your own eyes.
It's fucking
Are they
incredible.
Are they seriously grooming Buttigieg to be the vice presidential nominee in 2024?
No, I think possibly
Hold
the
on,
nominee.
Did he lose the baby weight?
Well, he lost it and Chasten put it on his ass. So, yeah. But they're working on it. They got the Peloton bike, the non fucking binary Peloton. They got that in the office over in the department of the trans.
It's going to be Buttigieg Harris against DeSantis Gabbard.
And Tulsi.
He's going to bring his fake breasts to the stage. Just use a bottle.
Your fucking face. Your face, Dak, was everything.
This is such a clown world. We have a supply chain crisis and no transportation secretary because he's fake. His husband can't feed the baby with a fake breast. He has to do it because he's the mom or whatever.
They were pumping the milk from the Peloton. Okay, they had the Peloton machine with the ostrich breast milk. Okay, it was a non-binary. Okay, fair trade, non-GMO ostrich breast milk.
Wait a minute, you're using breast milk? Isn't that raw milk?
Oh, sorry, non-birthing person milk.
It's raw milk.
No,
right?
seriously, Dak. They're talking about Mayor Pete.
Oh, fuck.
But why? I mean, wouldn't there be an elephant in the room about why Kamala isn't running? Like, she's with her.
Jill Biden, fucking grabbing Joe's wife is asking, like, who can we get rid of Kamala? There's like mainstream reports out about that. I'm serious.
What's her approval rating? It's lower than Joe's, right?
Approval rating? Yeah, it's like 28, right?
28?
Yeah.
28?
That's what I think I heard.
It's
28.
that high?
Yeah, I know, right?
It's lower than Dick Cheney's approval rating after he shot that person on the quail hunt.
That was the best thing he ever did. I mean,
shot a lawyer. Yeah, that's fucking.
Who didn't want to shoot Dick Cheney's lawyer?
I think they said it was the lowest vice presidential approval rating in American history, but it's not very close.
Even worse than Dick Cheney means you really fucking suck. If like Cheney's better than you.
Reed told Liz Cheney to go quail hunting with her father.
I saw the feature on CNN where they said that Kamala's vice presidential office is in total chaos, that nobody likes working with her. It was very strange to see that, though, coming from CNN, because since that is the Democratic Party's publicist, why would they be so anti-Kamala? I mean, I haven't seen any indication, though, that it would be Buttigieg.
Is she going to hire Ellen DeGeneres for her personal relations manager?
Ryan just was talking about what I said to Liz Cheney, but the Wyoming GOP voted to disaffiliate Liz Cheney from the Republican Party. And then I tweeted out after that, I was like, hey, tough break, Liz Cheney. I'd suggest taking some time off to lick your wounds, maybe go on a quail hunting trip with Dad.
That'll get you banned from Twitter again.
Well, no, that was implicit enough because it wasn't any like direct, that you just, I guess that's how I go. But I can't say Kyle Rittenhouse did nothing wrong. That gets me in trouble, though. So,
Right.
Yes.
You can't say
they've tried to say
Palestinians are human beings.
They
no,
said
that's hate speech.
Right.
praising Rittenhouse, they said, is praising mass shooters, which is not permitted.
Mass shooting is also when you shoot 4 or more people, I think, and he shot 3, so it's not even a mass shooting, technically.
Well, I mean, all of them were attacking him. That's the big part that they leave out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I felt like it wasn't really about Rittenhouse, and it wasn't also about race. Like I know they were making it about race, but I think the goal was for the reasonable people to come away and say, okay, this obviously wasn't race, and it obviously was self-defense, but this proved we shouldn't have assault weapons. That was what I felt like the prevailing narrative was supposed to be, that the normal sane people come away with, like, oh, if there hadn't been a gun, nobody would have been killed, which is stupid because they definitely would have at least beat him within an inch of his life. But I felt like
they still would have burned the town down.
That too.
The New York Times published an op-ed by Charles Blow, who's insert joke here. He was saying that the Rittenhouse case proves that we should not allow civilians to have access to guns because Rittenhouse being there with a gun did not make the situation safer, which is a straw man argument if I've ever heard one. Blow also came out a few days later with an op-ed saying that the Rittenhouse case shows the brazenness of white males in America. And that message was, of course, promoted over the weekend when CNN ran all those articles saying there's nothing more frightening in the United States than an angry white man.
Isn't he Hispanic? Or half?
White Hispanic.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I guess, the angry white males would have been Rosenbaum and Huber and Grossman. Yeah. But it was a bunch of angry white guys burning down the town.
Somebody did a tweet. Kyle Rittenhouse, George Zimmerman, Nick Fuentes, Enrique Tarrio, etc., all Hispanic. We're literally saving the white race.
Yeah, George Zimmerman. George Zimmerman, other half. Let's see. Hooker from Australia chimed in again and says, hey, the premier came to my town yesterday. He got shouted out as soon as he got out of the car. Yesterday, we had 50,000 in each capital city. The media is lying about approval rates. Yeah, he's from the People's Republic of Australia. So, and then Vigo 2011 says good evening and just sends some money. And William Wallace, that's a base name. Kyle Rittenhouse doesn't count as a mass shooter because he shot communists, not people. Okay. Yeah, a pedophile, a serial pedophile, child rapist, communist, manlet, ginger, Yankee. It's like every fucking checkbox of things I hate was
Wait, Ryan, does New Hampshire get a pass? Because, 2 based people from New Hampshire and we banned vaccine passports and we're like libertarian. Do we get a pass yet?
Well, all vaccine passports are done. The Fifth Circuit Court was like, you ain't doing that. But New Hampshire is probably the most based northern state. I mean, if you looked at, especially with the anti-vaccine stuff, it's like the entire South and New Hampshire, right? And that's the one. That's the free man state, remember?
He has the soft spot for live free or die.
Yeah. Well, Iowa still maintains its anti-vaccine stance, but it's being surrounded by states like Minnesota to the north, which is, of course, just it's you really feel yourself surrounded in a sense. Like even in New Hampshire, you're surrounded by vaccine mandates to the left, right, and beneath you, and of course above you in Canada. So it really feels like there's no escape. It feels like the walls are constantly closing in.
Yeah, I feel like West Virginia, Kentucky, Iowa are culturally Southern by this point.
I would say so.
They're more in line with the South than the North. And New Hampshire was never really that bad. It's the real shithole is New Jersey, and then it's like everything close to that. like New York is next, and like Pennsylvania.
New Hampshire has been
at all. I was just saying that hasn't changed at all.
No. New Hampshire has been spoiled by the influx of people from Massachusetts. That has what has screwed up the state culturally. But I've never really felt the state was as libertarian as it likes to pretend that it is. I mean, you can look at the drug policy is still far behind the rest of the Northeast. But I mean, culturally, I feel like it's respectable enough that obviously I would live there rather than Massachusetts. I could never live in Massachusetts.
I would never live in Massachusetts. Long time ago, Boston used to be Chad as fuck. They are the tar and feather state and the Tea Party state. But man, it has fallen. It is.
Yes.
It has fallen apart. Cape Cod is this fucking cesspool of just like AIDS.
It's a shithole country.
Yeah.
Shithole country.
Shithole country.
Total disaster. Complete and total failure. Failed state, quite frankly.
It's almost like Massachusetts wants to be New York. It's surrendered to the cultural influence of Connecticut. I don't know. Maybe it's a little too New England insular, this conversation.
So Maine is the second best New England state, probably.
It's pretty based.
They're like there's just
Maine has clean election laws. One of the only two places with them that North Carolina is the other one that gets rid of a lot of money in politics.
They do have ranked choice voting there too in Maine, right, Eric? I think.
Yeah, I think they did pass ranked choice and have that up there.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure. I'd have to 100%.
There's like 11 people and a moose who vote every year in Maine, and that's
and there's Angus King, and then the Bushes are up there, and Kennebunk.
I would love to have, if I could create another Civil War statue, it would be the two guys covered in cheese in Maine from William Reed. William Reed is one of the most unknown, coolest pirate, sailor, whatever, soldiers ever. Right. He went into Maine. He faked like he was going to attack New York or Boston, one of the main things, but he went up to Maine, which was almost completely unguarded, stole their own ship, just waltzed right in, and just started blowing up boats all over the harbor. He ran out of ammunition, and he shot these two guys from Massachusetts with a hot wheel of cheese. And they lived. Incredible. I mean, it hurts. Getting shot by anything out of a cannon sucks. But can you imagine the fucking embarrassment, like when they're like getting all the fucking cheese off him and he's escaped, and it's like, what happened to you?
People are trying to dip their crackers in it. Yeah, it says on November 8th, 2016.
If they had been from Wisconsin, it would have been so much better, but they're from Maine.
It's like Dak said about how Grosskreutz is ashamed because he's still alive, where the other ones are at least like they died heroically or whatever. Like,
you see, he got a DUI like a week after got his bicep blown off. And how did he shoot that guy in the bicep? That's precision aim, because you're talking about like a little.
His finger, his finger control was bar none. Yeah, November 8th, 2016, Maine voters approved Question 5, became the first state to enact ranked choice voting for governor, state legislature, and Congress. So it's on the books up there, and the way life should be up in Maine. Stephen King getting hit by trucks and shit, you know.
So Eric. It was disappointing, but I saw Jesse Ventura's, his take on January 6th. I was wondering if you could tell us what he thought.
You know what I saw that just chilled me to my bones and shook me to my core? I saw a Confederate flag in my capital. How dare they? How dare they? That's my capital. I can't even do it. Yeah, he's kind of gone. He's gone tropo man on the fucking January 6th stuff and the vaccine stuff.
Confederate flags are already in the Capitol. They're part of the Mississippi flag. And
I saw that flag though, Ryan. It had legs and it was running around my capital. Yeah. How dare that flag do that?
I think the point was to bring up the discussion of secession again after the largest voted flag in history.
Yeah,
I think that's why they have it.
I like wearing the mask, Reed, because I go, no one will bother me or talk to me. It's like I don't think people were really bothering you or talking to you when there wasn't a mask, dude. You know?
Down in the Baja.
Hey, look, I love the body, man. I don't want to shit on him too much, but he's way off base, man, with the fucking flu world order
he
bullshit.
Was great, and then he got like juked by Judy Wood on 9/11.
Oh, Fetzer, man. Fetzer got him too.
Fetzer got him. He's having to pay like millions of dollars to the Sandy Hook victims, and guess who else? Alex Jones.
Yeah, Emmerich.
Alex Jones just got nailed. He's got to pay.
SaveInfoWars.com. He's in the fight of his life right now, Dawson.
Fuck
Go to
him.
SaveInfoWars.com right now, buy some Bitcoin, and save me, so I can fly my helicopter over my ex-wife's house and harass her. He's still the one, Reed. He's still the one. Balloon head.
Melonhead's
Eric,
in
it's like you
denial
said,
of
like,
his denial. He's like, I didn't say they were crisis actors. Like, yes, you fucking did. Like,
Yeah, no, he fucked up big time with that Sandy Hook bullshit.
Eric,
What,
it's
Reed?
like you and I say, like, we don't even bother hating anyone because it's just too much energy. It's just like, I mean, even like war criminals like Donald Trump. It's like, how can you hate him though? Like, he's such a fucking retard. You love him
Just
so
love
much.
him. Yeah, he's just thick daddy, you know. Look, Mr. President, are we going to go to war with Iran? I hope not. You know, his response is, "I hope not." Reed, you know, I mean, that's fucking incredible. How do you not love
It's
that?
like, yeah, I mean, he's increased the arms sales to Saudi Arabia. But I mean, what else did he do? He
when he called Kim Jong-il or Kim
Rocket
Jong-un,
Man?
Little Rocket Man.
Little Rocket Man, don't do it. I will unleash a fire and fury the likes of which have never been seen before. Okay?
That's a president, though. The president of the United States is calling Elizabeth
Dawson.
Warren Pocahontas.
It's everything. No, his wrestling nicknames that people are like, dude, I'll vote for him in 24 just for more nicknames, just for new, fresh. I'm kind of on nihilism right now. I'm on nihilism right now that I want Trump in 24 because we need new nicknames for all these new assholes.
Because you're a
out there,
comedian
you know?
and he's constant material.
Dude, he could be one of the greatest takedown comics who ever lived, and he became fucking president.
Dude, Trump could do stand up.
Dude.
Dating, like, I don't, the Tulsi's moment with Kamala was great, but nothing is ever going to top because you'd be in jail. Like, that's just like,
yeah. She's like, it's so good that someone like Donald Trump's not in charge of law enforcement in this country.
Well, how about Jeb Bush and Donald Trump? Jeb Bush is like, he's like,
remember the
9/11 got hit in your watch. Not safe. Not very safe.
He's like, the World Trade Center came down during your brother's reign. That's not safe.
And he's like, remember the rubble? And Trump turns around and is like, yeah, remember the rubble?
When he told Jeb Bush, you started at the center of the stage, you're moving over further and further. Pretty soon you're going to be off the stage.
Pretty soon you're off the stage. Jeb's like, I don't think it matters. I think it does. That's why I'm at like 42 and you're at like 1%. I think it does matter. And Jeb's like, 40 years ago, I looked up, I saw my mother, I won the lottery. Trump's like, yeah, she should be running.
Yep, she should be running, not you.
Look, it's just such clown world that like I'm at the point where it's like, dude, just fucking get Trump back up there. Get that guy a microphone and put him back up there.
Look at the improvement Florida did, getting rid of Jeb Bush and getting DeSantis. I mean,
yeah.
So much
DeSantis, he's a based cringe lord. And his Zionism is disgusting.
Did you see where he went to Brandon, Florida? So they could say
at the Honda dealership.
Yeah, and he could do "Let's Go Brandon," talking about Brandon, Florida, and everyone's like, "Let's go Brandon." I mean, come on.
I think the people who support Donald Trump, if they want the kind of his politics to succeed, though, I think the best bet would be for Trump to step back and for DeSantis to take over. Because I saw someone on 4chan put it rather eloquently. He said, DeSantis is Trump without the baggage. DeSantis would be able to advocate for these things without people saying that it's Adolf Hitler 2.0.
Right.
See, but I hate Trump for his policies. The only reason I liked him was the fucking...
He's like Trump with tact.
Right. That came with it. Like, DeSantis is boring Trump. Like, just Trump's policies without the fucking retard strength, which is...
But he's not boring, though. He gets some zingers. They're just not as classless. I like what Trump said to Jeffrey Epstein. This one of the victims from the plane was saying that they said something about, because Ghislaine Maxwell always called him white trash, and they're like, "What is that?" He's just like, "Girls from Ukraine," and Trump's like, "That's me with no money."
Yeah, he knows he's trash. He knows he is. He's the Goblin King. He embraces it. No, I just think that it doesn't really matter who the president is. I mean, obviously the four of us look more deeper into this shit than most people do, but he was just so much fun, and I loved how he belittled and treated the Clintons and the Bushes. I thought that was just... I got one
amazing. For you. You're going to hold on to your desk for this. Okay. DeSantis is president, and they make Trump the press secretary.
Oh, God, it'd be everything. It'd be everything.
They were talking about making Trump the Speaker of the House if the Republicans win next year, because the Speaker does not have to be an elected member of Congress.
Oh, that'd be everything, dude. That would
I would
light
love
all the
to see
triplets'
him have
hair
it.
on fire.
They could make Kyle Rittenhouse the Speaker.
No, I think you have to be 30.
Sergeant
His
at
age
Arms.
limit. No, you got to be
Bitches.
25. You got to be 25 to be part of the House.
Yeah.
Well, in any
30%.
event, they said that Trump, I don't think it would ever happen, but if they were to make him the Speaker, it would be an interesting spectacle.
It'd be everything.
I
You
guess
could
it'd be
actually get
interesting
votes to say, you vote me in, I'll make Trump my press secretary. I'll be like, oh, I'll take it now.
This guy says when Dave Smith and Spike Cohen win, they should make Trump their press secretary. I'll get behind that.
Secretary
No, they're going to
Trump.
make Louis J. Gomez the press secretary from Legion of Skanks.
I'd take
I
that
think we
Kelly McEnany girl back, too. She was based.
She was Chad, wasn't
She's
she?
like your fake news. Then we had that stupid Ginger, the lower your expectations lady. And what's the new
Balsacki.
one? There's already another one, right?
Well, they had Jen Balsacki.
Balzac?
She's just terrible. She's like Chucky's twin sister, okay? There, she's got the knife, and it was just terrible. Just terrible.
That woman
Has
was
she
awful.
left yet, or is she still?
I
She's
think
gone.
Balsacki's still there. Oh, she is?
Nah, they got another lady in there now.
I don't even pay because Trump's not in there anymore. I don't even fucking.
Yeah, it's
I'm not even engaged.
All they do is
It's
fucking
stupid.
lie. There's no reason to watch
just-
it. They don't
it's just
answer
a,
questions.
It's just a drooling zombie fucking corpse.
We'll
Biden
circle
up
back
there.
on that. We'll just circle back on
Yeah,
that.
I've gotten past the point of embarrassment. Like, so many people were upset about the Afghanistan withdrawal, not because people died, but because they were embarrassed that the United States would look this way.
Right.
And
they
that's how
lost
they are
face.
about. Yeah, and then same with Biden. Like, they're not actually upset about his policies. It's,
Right.
he looks like an idiot. I fucking love that. Like, I'm sad that people died in Afghanistan, but I was super happy that we looked like absolute idiots after being there for 20 years.
Getting out of there
Yeah.
is the best thing Biden ever did.
It is.
Yes.
That's like the only good thing he did was end the war in Afghanistan.
Ryan, that week I said to Reed, he got us out of Afghanistan and he fell asleep on the Prime Minister of Israel when he was visiting. I'm like, dude, those are two of the greatest things a president could do.
He fell asleep
You know?
with at the climate change thing too.
Yeah.
I think that Biden's the perfect president for these times because America is a senile nation.
Yeah.
America is incapable. America is
good.
incapable of doing anything. All it can do is look back fondly on its achievements from decades before. It has no reason to be in the present, and so that's why Biden is the perfect symbol of that national decay.
Oh, we're a complete failed state.
Uh-huh.
Dude,
Right,
I
exactly.
feel like a mix of Trump and Biden is like the American
Past.
existence. Like, it's the retard strength.
Make
and the
America
senile
great
strength.
again, right? It's like
It's just
a
like,
harken
it's
to the
America.
past.
I like that, Reed, the retard strength.
Dude, it is like it's the retarded, like absolutely uninformed dumbassery of Trump mixed with like the complete senile, like brain dead aspect of Biden. And you mix those together and you get America the Beautiful. It's just what happens.
So I'm at the point now where like in the Rittenhouse case, I said to myself, okay, I'm turning a corner here where I don't actually have any real emotional investment in it. I wanted Rittenhouse to win just because I wanted to, just wanted to witness the carnage, basically. So with that being said, I've gotten to a point where I'm stopped even just looking at the news strictly for my own research. I'm getting my news now from 4chan for the past 6 weeks. That is where I get
incredible.
my news. And I actually think that all the sophomoric humor aside, you actually do get much more intelligent discussion on there than you do on any other social media platform.
He's become one of us.
See, I think
Jack's based. He's based.
I think with 4chan, in all seriousness, it's the fact that they're anonymous on there that you're not going to get attention. Like, you're not going to have 100,000 followers on 4chan because you don't get followers. It's that when you force everyone to be anonymous, that forces them to actually.
Does it level the playing field?
Yeah, exactly. And so that's why I think it is the best social media platform, because it removes the incentive to try to get attention. There's no upvoting. There's no followers. There's no fame. There's no notoriety. I think it's a good leveling. There's a good leveling effect
There's
to that.
several
Definitely where the
threads
best Pepe.
Somebody
best
started
Pepe
several
memes come
threads
from
about
there.
me on there.
Yes, and there was also a beautiful thing about how you will never be a real woman. If anybody's ever seen that, the letter to a young transgender woman. If you've ever seen that,
Nice.
Is that about Caitlyn?
no, it's
Give us a Caitlyn impression, Eric.
Dak, what are you talking about here? We're just fighting the homeless out in California. The people who didn't like my platform of just mowing the homeless down with a machine gun. I said, put me in there as governor, and I'll run them all over, but I'll put a 50 cal attached to my Suburban. I'll take care of the homeless in about an afternoon. Surprise!
Could I take a minute just to read part of this, the letter to a trans girl?
Oh yes, do that.
Okay. This is something I saved that I thought it was honestly poignant. I read it on 4chan. It gets passed around. Have no idea who wrote it, but this is something I think every trans girl needs to hear. You will never be a real woman. You have no womb. You have no ovaries. You have no eggs. You are a homosexual man twisted by drugs and surgery into a crude mockery of nature's perfection. All the validation you get is two-faced and half-hearted. Behind your back, people mock you. Your parents are disgusted and ashamed of you. Your friends laugh at your ghoulish appearance behind closed doors. You will never be happy. You wrench out a fake smile every single morning and tell yourself it's going to be okay. But deep inside, you feel the depression creeping up like a weed, ready to crush you under the unbearable weight. Eventually, it'll be too much to bear. You'll buy a rope, tie a noose, put it around your neck, and plunge into the cold abyss. Your parents will find you, heartbroken but relieved that they no longer have to live with the unbearable shame and disappointment. They'll bury you with a headstone marked with your birth name, and every passerby for the rest of eternity will know a man is buried there. The end.
Wow.
The only part I disagree with is parents. It's usually just parent.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably. There's also a good parody of that for "You will never be fully vaccinated."
Yeah, boosters indefinitely.
I identify as trans-vax. Surprise! I'll always
Derek, I knew Dak was based autistic and as nihilist as us, so he'd make it.
That's actually. I am based definitely autistic. Nihilistic, you misunderstand me. The only real nihilism I think is leftism, because there are no values on the left.
Yep. Yeah. Have you read Uncle Ted?
Kaczynski?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did read his manifesto. That was D. Pierce SSC and I did a few videos talking about the manifesto.
That's like I'm writing the forward to his new book.
Read another short little essay he did. It's about 8 pages called "The System's Neatest Trick."
I don't know that
show. You'll love it. It's just so on the money. So of course the manifesto is the grand.
There's a level of base tier read that cannot be denied. That's going on right now. There's this holiday.
I'm kind of a Ted Kaczynski evangelist. Excuse me, you have a moment of your time to talk about the over-socialized left.
What I just sent you, Reed, is an illustration of leftist nihilism. If you check your text messages, I don't know if you can put that image up on the screen.
I can try. Yeah.
Okay. This is what I want to illustrate here.
We gotta get Dak on our Telegram. He'd love it.
4chan produces the best Pepes. The best Pepe memes.
Yeah, it's interesting how Pepe has become a white supremacist symbol when he means absolutely nothing. I've seen left-wing Pepes. I've seen BLM Pepes.
They'll suck, though. The left can't meme.
Yep.
Leftism right there. I remember the first time I had Ryan on the show, I said, why don't they just raise the minimum wage in India and then all the poverty will go away? Like, duh.
Yeah. I think he said Bangladesh, but yeah.
What is Trump just calls her that bartender there from New York. Go get my Diet Coke, Alex. Wow. Yeah, clown. It's just basically it just becomes a daily endurance of navigating clown world, is what we all kind of do. And doing the show is definitely good catharsis for that. And talking to people who have kind of reached that level of, no matter how many years you've been doing research or you've been political or whatever it is. You just get to a point where you just see the way things are, and all you can do is
say fuck it eventually.
It's been a good month,
fuck
though.
it.
Like Rittenhouse gets acquitted, Maxwell's going on trial. Reed, a trucker, one of your fellow brethren, is now the Senate
one in New Jersey.
Yeah, in New Jersey too.
$153 campaign.
We have to celebrate. We got to celebrate the white pills.
A young kid got in Virginia, which is a vast improvement over Northam. And not only that, I mean, they swept it clean. The Lieutenant Governor Sears, and then we got a new Attorney General. I mean, that's why I got Virginia's flag right here, stepping on a tyrant.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm. He's wearing purple though. So what is that saying? No.
I think when the government overreacts and they push too far, that's actually usually good, because then you get this type of come back. Like 4 years ago, no one cared about anything, even though there's a war in Syria and there's a blockade in Yemen. Like no one gave a shit. It was like, whatever. But then you tell them you need to get vaccinated if you want to live a normal life. They're like, fuck you. And then they actually do something about it.
$3 at the pump.
Yeah, exactly.
We were talking about it yesterday. You need an argument for the wallet and an argument for the heart, because the argument against the wallet argument is what actually motivates people, but they don't feel good in being publicly active because that's not an acceptable reason, even though that's the real reason. And then you give an empathic argument is something that people can virtue signal about or whatever and get excited about. But when you have both is when you really get shit going. So like, yeah, you got to pay more at the pump. You got a supply chain crisis. You could lose your job, blah, blah, blah. That gets people angry as fuck and active. And then but they can say, oh no, I'm doing this because I disagree with these wars and this and this and that and all the things you should be mad about. Right. Which is, and they're all connected. It's because of the closing of the pipelines and the deals and the wars that your gas is what it is. Because you won't trade with Iran is why your gas is so expensive. Because you can't get anything from Iraq or Syria because the war in Syria is why your gas is so expensive. But they don't get that connection most of the time. But with Biden, man, he is fucked, dude. That vaccine mandate did him in. Like that was a stupid move.
I have been exonerated on this because, like, how long ago was that now? 2 months ago when he first rolled that out, when he said he was going to do it, about 2 months. Like, I heard him making the speech and I was excited. And I did a live stream that night with Dave Smith and Clint and another guy, Jeremy Todd. And I was saying, like, I know you guys are going to disagree with me, but I fucking love this. I'm so glad Biden made this speech because it was so bad. It was so authoritarian. It was so grotesque. People are not going to stand for this. And
you know what was interesting? The most interesting reaction to that, I thought, was the Democrat governor of Kansas, who's in a very contentious re-election campaign. She had to come out and say that she does not support the mandate. She said that mandates don't work. People are suspicious of them. And she also made what I thought was a good point. She said that states have spent the last almost 2 years tailoring their needs to their COVID responses to what is best for their specific states. The idea that the federal government will step in and make a one-size-fits-all policy on that, to her, was, she said it was ineffective. And obviously the only reason she's saying that is because she's in such a close re-election campaign. But that would indicate that there is mainstream opposition to these vaccine mandates, even among the so-called left. There are classical liberals out there who will say that they're not comfortable with that level of compulsion, I suppose.
There's even like progressive, like far leftists who are against it. Like even Jimmy Dore is now against it. Like it's not even just.
Well, I'm glad he decided to join the party once he saw that it was economically convenient for him to do so. Once
he sees
saw
which way the wind's blowing. Yeah, exactly.
I don't know why people still watch that man at this point. What are you going to say, Eric?
Yeah, just what Dawson said. Which way is the wind blowing? How can I make a few bucks off this?
Yep, he's a grifter.
We've all held the line.
He's a young Turk Slacky.
I don't watch him either. He's fucking boring.
He's a young Turk Slacky. Him and Anna Kaspersky and the House Armenians, the House Armenian and Jimmy Dore both changed their mind on Rittenhouse upon the new evidence. I'm like, dude, none of that evidence is new. It's new to you. But how fucking insulated you have to be to have never seen the video of Rosenbaum chasing him across the parking lots and stuff. That's because you live in a leftist bubble. But Jimmy Dore's got fucking communists on his show promoting that filth, right, over and over again about China and stuff. He's fucking dumm. He's like, well, at least he's against the war. I'm like, okay.
So, several months ago, I did the video, Why I Don't Watch Jimmy Dore, and the reaction to it, the way people said that what I said was so blasphemous for me to come out and say, how dare you say you don't watch Jimmy Dore? How dare you say that the man could be more serious on these issues? How dare you say he's ultimately a mainstream progressive socialist? It was blasphemous to so many people, and now just a few months later with Rittenhouse and vaccine mandates, it should be obvious that the man does not have, I don't know if there's any real ideological integrity. I think he's doing what he does because it's so profitable.
He's like a less intelligent Bill Maher.
Yeah.
Who's another grifter,
Bill Maher.
Bill Maher's
been Bill Maher's been more based on COVID than Jimmy. Like he even like last year was saying like we can't hide from this disease, but now Jimmy Dore comes out and says it at the last minute. And Jimmy Dore did a segment on his show about Bill Maher ripping apart some guy who was pro-vaccine mandate or whatever, and all the comments were like, "Oh, looks like Bill Maher is finally saying what he thinks, or finally saying the right thing." And they're all like Jimmy Dore cucks. It's like Jimmy Dore was absolutely pro-mandate last year. Like, what are you talking about? It's just,
you were allowed.
And he does it in the most snarky fucking Rachel Maddow kind of way, with him and his little crew are like, ha ha, and laughing about it and saying what an idiot. That kind of, because he's a comedian, I guess. Yeah. He says
Graham Elwood, his appearances on that show are insufferable. I've never understood why anybody thinks Graham Elwood is funny. He has that infantile. He's not much better than Adam Sandler, really, and he's been pro COVID authoritarianism from the beginning. He supports mandates. He did a video a while back where he what's that? Yes, he supports vaccines. There was several months ago, he did a video where he said kids aren't depressed because they're forced to stay in their house. They're depressed because all of their relatives are dying of COVID. I'm like, what planet are you living on, dude? I know one person whose death was attributed to COVID. And if you had told me 10 years ago that man was going to die of a respiratory illness, I wouldn't have been shocked. Like, this idea that everyone's family's dying of COVID, I don't know who he's talking about.
It's fantasy. And let me just tell you, motherfuckers, I just beat COVID, okay? I just beat it, guys. And let me show you how I beat it. All right, I don't know if we're going to get in trouble for this read, but...
Oh, dude, it's the 4 horsemen. It's perfect.
No, seriously,
that's
but
right. We all take ivermectin because we're horsemen.
I did fucking, I did get COVID, and I am recovering from it right now.
I'm glad you're one of the 99%.
Well, going to your point,
as am I. I'm part of the 99% on that one too. I got it in January 2020. I'm in Asia, so I got hit first before.
Look, no one wants to get it.
You're a Native American, Ryan. So
my immune system's pretty shitty.
Aren't we all?
But I'm proud to say I beat it, Reed. I did. I beat it.
You're also Native American with a small N.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
My
did
boss,
you write, Eric, did you write a will as you were like on your deathbed dying of COVID?
Yeah, I did. I just want to give everything to the state. Take it all. It's all yours.
My boss.
Did you sneeze in envelopes and send them to Pelosi and some others?
Well, no, I sent it to what's his name? Tom Daschle. I sent it to Tom Daschle.
And Patrick Leahy.
And Pat Leahy. Yeah.
And my boss was one of the really unlucky ones. He went to the hospital for like almost 4 weeks. He just got out. He got fucked up. So I do know some people who did get really fucked up by it, but most people.
Well, you can thank that little demon Fauci for funding doing gain of function research to Wuhan.
The gain of function in the China lab over there in the Communist Party and the mayor of Moscow. We gave Hunter Biden $3 million. Okay. No, but it sucks. You don't want to get it, but I took some time off. I rested. I fucking stayed hydrated. I had those supplements and those vitamins.
Does that mess with how you smell things?
Yeah, my sense of smell and my tastes are a little off right now, unfortunately. But
how long were you sick?
It's been like 10 days. It was a good solid almost 2 full weeks. So
wait, Eric, I wonder if we can get reported for misinformation by literally having a guy who just came out of COVID on the show talking about his experience. Well, they'll remove it for
dude. I wouldn't fucking put it past these cunts. These fucking overlords.
Well, YouTube's policy that all anti-vax content will be prohibited now. Does that mean if it is like a vaccine that has been discredited by the National Health Organization that they are going to say you can't talk smack about that vaccine too? I mean that what if it's
mRNA therapy and not a vaccine?
And I haven't even mentioned vaccines. But
I mean it's not even a vaccine.
No,
they just keep saying that word. I'm like, that doesn't mean what you think it means.
No, they just keep saying it. But I guess so. Now I have the. Do I have a good immunity going forward now that I've had it?
Oh, you just removed the video, Eric. You just said you had the disease, and that gives you immunity. Obviously, a jab every several months is going to do way more for you.
Right.
We gotta boost it up like Caitlin's titties. Boost them up, baby. Booster, baby, booster. Give me that booster.
Yeah, no,
Is there
I mean,
the CDC saying that all adults are eligible for a booster now. Do they say how long you have to wait after your last shot before you can get a booster?
I'm not sure.
Because that seems odd to me that, if you had your last shot last week, go ahead and get a booster. Shouldn't there be some very rigid timeline that you should wait X number of weeks or something like that? I mean, just the idea of giving people that at any time they want, that seems a little experimental, doesn't it?
I think there is a wait time that I think they are supposed to wait some number of months or whatever, but
who's verifying that? Like, is someone there like demanding your record of when you last had your vaccine? I mean,
AOC.
I don't know. I don't get the shot, so I imagine it's in their medical records to be like, when were you here last? I don't know. See, you just go to 2 different doctors. I don't know. Seems silly. They're giving them to kids now, and some of them are getting blood clots and heart inflammation and all that, and they've blamed those new symptoms on climate change.
Marijuana.
Nah, we know. Climate change. They blame the weather.
Being anti-trans. They blame it on fucking being anti-trans. That's what they blame it on.
Yep, it's a combination of climate change and racism. That's pretty much an answer for everything on the left.
Because of a lack of gun control.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Gun
control means using 2 hands. Anyone says that Kyle Rittenhouse didn't have gun control obviously didn't see any of his shots.
Dude.
He was
very impressive marksmanship.
Very cool-headed through that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he had a panic attack afterward, but he was pretty on the fucking level when.
What did Rosenbaum die doing, Ryan?
Chasing a minor, doing what he loved.
Oh.
Yeah. By the way, everybody, Ryan Dawson said that months before.
I said that a day. I said that on your show months before. I said that the day it happened. That was my thing. Like,
it was the day it happened. So
yeah.
Perfect.
Because I'm the one that went and got Rosenbaum's jail record and put that out to everybody. I'm like, this guy's a fucking repeat rapist. And you know who reposted it? 4chan. Like, that's because I got banned from Twitter. You know,
once it hit 4chan, man, that's it.
Yeah, then it was everywhere.
Well, see, the thing is, the issue that people take with him being a sex offender, the left loves to invoke people's unrelated sexual history all the time when it's convenient for them. We need to cancel Woody Allen, not because of anything he did on a studio set, but because he may have been sexually inappropriate with his daughter at one point. So when people say that invoking Rosenbaum's criminal past is irrelevant, I don't think that they actually live by that rule.
Yeah, I mean, it's relevant that he left a mental institution and wasn't on his meds. I mean, all his criminal history wasn't brought up, but I think that part of it should have been.
What is this I hear that his fiance had 2 boys under the age of 10? And it's like, okay, even if he wasn't a convicted child molester, you're engaged to a man who is homeless and who has a long history of these mental illnesses. Like, I think you need a better choice of partner.
He had to leave the house at that night because he's not allowed in the same building with children after a certain hour or whatever. God. And who Skater Die's girlfriend's hitting on Kyle Rittenhouse. I'm like, yeah, go sleep with the ex. Complete the fucking mission. Yeah.
There was a good Avril Lavigne meme about Huber. He was a skater boy. He said, "See you later, boy," as Rittenhouse is popping off his AR.
Oh God, that's so fucking good.
That is very good.
Yeah, but Eric, how good is that? Like, Rittenhouse got a note from Huber's girlfriend saying, "Hey, if you ever need to talk to anyone, here's my phone number." Like,
she was so turned on by his fucking AR, dude, and she got so hot for that. The way
I think she realizes this kid's gonna be a multimillionaire too.
Yeah, she's just kind of she's seeing where it's going, man. And
he needs to do it though, just for the fucking salt on Twitter.
I can see him next year, like, releasing his first book. You know, like,
yeah.
Do you know he has an assault rifle spelled SALT?
for the salt harvest.
Oh, the salty tears.
Rittenhouse needs to drop a fucking mixtape, man. You know, against Antifa. You know, Rittenhouse's mixtape.
Dude, if you had a music video. tread on them.
You know how you have like the recommendations from other authors? You could have Ryan Dawson as one of the other authors on Rittenhouse's first book, like essential Ryan Dawson. You know?
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
A forward by Ryan Dawson. Thoughts?
I'd write his forward for him, dude. Anytime.
Have you seen the image of Rittenhouse walking down the hallway with every comic book superhero to his left and right bowing beside him? Yeah, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. They're all just as he passes down the hall with his AR.
They did that with like the doctors and nurses stuff because they're on the front line of COVID.
Oh, that's
the ones that are so bored they're doing TikTok videos. I always thought Vince McMahon missed a golden opportunity. He should have had orderlies starting to do a TikTok video that everyone hates, and then just had his wrestlers come in and level them with steel chairs, choke slams, and stuff like as a commercial for WWE.
Or take the cadavers and the bodies of the people who died from COVID and hit them with them with the arms.
I'm telling you, man. If you had people dress up in their scrubs doing their little fucking no square dance. And then just some people just came up and just clothesline, just fucking suplex it, just annihilated them. That's a fucking $1 trillion view. Like, that would pass BTS, Gangnam Style, everything. It would be so satisfying to watch these motherfuckers just get powerbombed. Like, shut the fuck up with your stupid fucking doctor dance videos. Like, and they're not doctors and nurses. It's like the orderlies with nothing to do. So they sit there and
just have
choreograph
Rittenhouse
dance.
doing target practice on them. You know,
we could have Tom Woods, clothesline him because he's like the big anti-COVID statistic guy. I can see Tom Woods.
He'd need a step ladder.
He'd be hitting him in the
Tom
stomach
off the third rope hits him in the belly. No, you need somebody to like choke slam Tom Woods into a fallen opponent, and he does the Macho Man elbow drop. Boom!
Yeah, have Dave do that because Dave's tall.
Bam! Liberty Classroom, bitch.
Holy fuck! Oh my god!
If you could do one pro wrestling move to Nancy Pelosi, like or actually have the wrestler do it, like one finisher, what would be the most satisfying? Huh?
Oh, Tombstone from The Undertaker.
Tombstone pile driver.
Pile driver, or get to Tonka to fucking.
No, I'd pick the pile driver from Owen Hart because he broke two people's necks on accident.
I'd just straight up grab her fridge out there, that $1 million fridge that she has, and I'd slam her head in it. Just slam her. Give her a Minnesota gopher.
She was so Marie Antoinette sitting there eating her chocolate ice cream while people are locked down. What a fucking...
when people are fucking dying.
That's so San Francisco.
Yeah, or her officiating the oil heiress's wedding there. That's incredible.
And getting her hair done with no mask.
Change. Yeah. Fuck.
Yeah, then she calls on Abby Martin.
Yeah.
William Wallace just said the Chris Benoit. That's fucking terrible, dude.
That's pretty good.
But I'm laughing.
She's like, we need a woman to talk. How about this woman over here? And then Abby Martin
calls Abby Martin.
Why is none of this covering the Pentagon? And then she was like, oh, actually, we need to clean the room. I didn't realize that was going to have to happen.
Woman, I said, I meant, not you.
Right.
Kamala Harris got asked a question about Palestine and Israel. She's like, well, that's your truth, and I have my truth. Like, she didn't know how to dodge that one. Secretary Trump. Yeah. Press Secretary Trump. Your fake news, next.
Sit down. You're ugly. Your tie's disgusting.
MSNBC, what happened? Russia show up at your door? Yeah, go home and cry in your dick-shaped pillow.
You're a complete loser.
Total Dak, loser. Isn't your latest article on Overwritten about Joe Biden's Zionism? Isn't that the one that's at the top right now?
Overwritten.org. I haven't actually written at that website at overwrittenhouse.org.
Overwrittenhouse.
Because I've been writing a book about the 2020 election. I know nobody's going to want to read a book like that, but I've been writing it. I've just been doing videos lately. But Joe Biden's Zionism, yeah, I mean, I remember there was that girl who went up to Cory Booker at one of his rallies with the Palestinian flag and like unfolded it in front of him because he was the biggest AIPAC cheerleader probably of all of the Democrats. He said that he and the president of AIPAC text like teenagers. That was the word.
Yeah, they sext each other pics of dead Palestinians. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's so hot.
Well, basically, and I remember he said to the girl, I understand if that's your main issue. I understand not voting for me. And somebody recorded it and posted it on Twitter. It was beautiful. But Joe Biden, he put on his campaign platform, maintain support for Israel while holding Palestinians responsible for their actions.
Yeah. He calls himself a Zionist too.
Cory Booker's a power bottom.
Yes, indeed. I'm looking for this picture of Rittenhouse walking down the hall so the audience can see it. But this 4chan was ahead of the game on Rittenhouse. Basically from day one, they were praising him as a hero, even before the facts came in, just because they loved the concept of what he had done.
Yeah, you got a hat trick on some communists. It's like. You knew something like that was going to happen. They can't just go around burning one city down after another without getting into eventually somebody fighting back. Everyone that didn't fight back ended up on the asphalt bleeding.
It is amazing, like watching the last days of the trial, like seeing normies and people I know suddenly realizing, oh wow, like he actually acted in self-defense. Like he hit him with a skateboard first. Like, oh, whoa. It was
but see, the way the media tried to pretend that he was a white supremacist, didn't it seem really risky on their part, considering that just a little bit of research would prove that the guys he shot were all white? I mean, like the idea that that wasn't exactly
Jewish.
You didn't have to go on some like underground news channel to find that information. Like you see pictures of the dead people all over the internet. Why didn't they think that eventually someone was going to come across that and say, wait a minute, I thought he killed black people?
Well, there's still people who think he killed black people. I think it's like 80% or something. I heard like that's what they think, 'cause that's what they heard. And they don't see the picture. They don't do the little bit of research. It worked before. I mean, look at the giant energy we had for Ron Paul, and they just dismissed him by being like racist newsletters. Done. And it only took a little bit of research to debunk that too, but it didn't matter.
Right? Jacob Blake's uncle said that Rosenbaum and Huber were heroes because they were at a protest to support Black lives. First of all, they were not at a protest; they were at a riot. Exactly. That was one of the fundamental differences in this case. This wasn't a protest. I think people have this impression that he drove up to a protest, just aimed at protesters, popped off some rounds, and then said, oh, self-defense. He went to a riot where criminalistic behavior was occurring. If you are bringing yourself to a riot, I'm not suggesting you deserve to die, but you have to be aware that there is some potential for violence and that you may be injured or possibly killed. You have to take personal responsibility.
Yeah, that's why he brought a gun.
There was no sense of agency in any of the mainstream media analysis of this case. It was all reduced to ideology. There's this tweet by Colin Kaepernick here. We just witnessed a system built on white supremacy validate the terroristic acts of a white supremacist. This only further validates the need to abolish our current system. White supremacy cannot be reformed. You said white supremacy 3 times in 3 sentences.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I find ironic is it's all, why was Kyle Rittenhouse there? It's not, why was Joseph Rosenbaum there? Why was Anthony Huber there? Why was Grosskreutz there? Like that question was never asked. And Grosskreutz, I don't know about the other two, but Grosskreutz traveled farther than Rittenhouse did.
Yeah, my wife showed me that he traveled like 400 miles, something like that, and Rittenhouse traveled 21.
Rittenhouse actually didn't travel at all because he was there the night before. His dad lived there.
There's an organization called Student Voice that tweeted, any college that admits Kyle Rittenhouse is aiding and abetting a murderer and white supremacist. I don't know if that's supposed to be a punishment that he's not going to be allowed to go to college.
He can do security at Liberty University.
Oh, did you see the Babylon Bee headline? Kyle Rittenhouse asked to guard the courthouse ahead of
I saw that. Fucking incredible.
Did you see, Eric, did you see Dave Smith getting into it with the Black Lives Matter people over the last couple of days?
No. Yeah, he's fighting with BLM.
Yeah, so what happened is Spike Cohen tweeted out that well, I think Spike Cohen and Justin Amash and someone else, like they all tweeted Kyle Rittenhouse verdict was correct. He was acting in self-defense, and the Black Lives Matter people started going after Spike. So then Dave stepped in, and then they started going after Dave. And I was saying, like, Dave, you need to hire Kyle Rittenhouse as your personal bodyguard. These things.
Here's a tweet by a blue tick, Kristen Meinzer, who lets you know that she's a she/her, by the way. If you are a white person in America, you can drive across state lines, obtain a semi-automatic weapon while there, use said weapon to murder black people, and claim it was all in self-defense. F this.
Oh my God.
F
Fucking ignorant.
Could you imagine being that retarded?
I don't understand the state line thing either. Like, you can drive across state lines anyway. It's called the United States, plural. Plural.
It's like, assume he actually had been like a mass shooter, like a Klebold and Harris type.
Still didn't shoot
Would
blacks.
it be more egregious if they had driven to Nebraska to commit their shooting as opposed to the shooting in Columbine? Like, it really just, I heard it echoed so many times across state lines in the media, and I never thought about it until I saw that image we put up at the beginning of the show, the state line cruiser. It just really just hit me.
The next time there's a mass shooting, I'm going to go, yeah, but did they cross state lines?
Right. Exactly. Stephen Paddock, did he?
State lines are not as rigid as gender lines. We can put it that way.
Migrants are crossing state lines.
There it is. Wait, the is it the cruiser?
Yeah, it's because a lot of people on the left were misspelling cross state lines as cruise state lines, and so it. I mean, this is what they think.
It's because when you spell cross, it has two S's right next to each other, and they thought that was like, you know, the SS or whatever, so it's illegal. So they went back.
Okay. While we're on that subject, what
straight.
is up with this capitalization of black? Like when people talk about black lives and they capitalize the B, but they leave white lowercase. When did the Associated Press start mandating that? I find it all the time on these tweets where white supremacy is lowercase, but black people is capitalized. I'm just
because it's Twitter. Because it's Twitter.
I'm going to start noticing that now.
No, it's a deliberate thing they're doing. I think it's the American press, whatever, the Associated Press. They've said that black should be capitalized because black Americans have a shared cultural history, whereas white should be lowercase because white people do not.
Right.
What I also thought was weird.
The opposite.
What I also thought was weird was the.
Wait, what language are the black and white people speaking in America? Is it English? Oh, wait, where did that come from? Where's that shared cultural history come from?
Africa.
Yeah.
No.
Right.
But what I thought was interesting is
what religion do most of them have?
With the Rittenhouse case, you know, there were some people straight up lying, saying he shot black people, but most of that wasn't coming from official news sources. Most official news sources were technically being correct, but they would word it in the most deceptive way possible. So they'd be like, man who was accused, or man who shot protesters for, you know, police killing is acquitted of all charges by all white jury or something like that. It's like, what fucking, I mean, that's
shot protesters at an anti-racism rally.
Yeah, they'd say something like that. It was like,
I loved the description. The one juror appeared to be Hispanic or something. It was all those news outlets said one juror appeared to be colored.
Whatever happened to being colorblind? They define everything by all their little fucking biological categories. Like, the only people obsessed with race is the alt-right and the alt-left. Lone Star Texan sends in 5, says it's amazing how the commies cry about borders, but they cry about, I think he worded this wrong, but they cry about Kyle crossing his state line and go to his dad's house. Fucking hypocrites. Yeah, I mean, he worked there. His father lives there, which means he also lives there because he lives with his mom and dad back and forth. Who cares if he went across a line? It was like 21 minutes from one house to the other. That's it. And that town had been on fire for 2 days already. This is the 3rd night that he shows up. And basically they thought he ain't going to shoot us. And that was what Rosenbaum literally said. You have a child murdering lunatic out of a mental institution says, I'm going to fucking kill you if I find you alone tonight. Then he finds him alone that night and chases him and says, you won't do shit, motherfucker, as he's running after him. Shit was done. and now who's the motherfucker?
Well, see, the thing is that even if we could somehow prove Rittenhouse's motivation, this was never going to clear the standard of reasonable doubt. It was obvious that he had a reasonable claim to self-defense. Like, I don't know how much money the DA spent prosecuting this so-called case, but it was painfully obvious that they were going to get a not guilty verdict. Now, the Ahmaud Arbery trial may go differently, but what are these activists going to do if those three men are convicted of murder? Are they going to say this shows that the justice system is finally moving in the right direction, like 1 week after Rittenhouse was acquitted?
Yeah, those guys, that's a completely different thing. Like, it was a stupid decision. They created that whole situation. Like, Aubrey should not have run it at a guy holding a gun and try and take it from him. That was dumb. And if you start the story in the middle, that is defense because he's trying to take his gun away from whatever. But why are you sitting up a fucking roadblock with guns anyway? Like, you're not the cops or anything.
That is actual vigilanteism.
Yeah.
That is vigilante. What Rittenhouse did was not. Whether it was unwise of him to bring the AR-15 to the riot is a different story. But yeah, the three men in the Ahmaud Arbery case, I can't have a whole lot of sympathy for them. And they tried to submit a plea deal recently, which indicates that they're going to be convicted of something. But it is going to be interesting to see the media spin that right after they ran away with Rittenhouse.
A lot of people brought AR-15s to the riot, just they stayed together. And you would not be able to put out fires with a fire extinguisher if you didn't also have a gun. Like, the reason they didn't attack him sooner is because he's holding a gun. But they were outraged that how dare he put out the fire we just started. They felt entitled to burn people's tractor trailers and cars and homes. And when the fact that Rittenhouse would not let them push a flaming dumpster into a gas station, it just fucking outraged them. So they chased him. You won't do shit, motherfucker. I'm going to fucking kill you. So we do know his motive. He was trying to get his gun away and kill him because Rittenhouse wasn't letting them burn down the city. So
arson in many cases is punished by 25 years in prison. Arson being a class
unless you're on
felony.
the left. Because they have all these motherfuckers on film setting shit on fire. Not one of them has been... They knew Here's the other thing. Jump Kick Man, Maurice, they knew who he was and pretended they didn't. Most of the mass media, including Fox, is focusing on they had the high-def footage, drone footage of Rosenbaum, and they gave the defense this shittier version that was actually a couple seconds shorter, too. That is important, but way more important is the fact that they acted like they didn't know the identity of the guy that kicked him in the face, and they did, because he had asked the prosecution for immunity, which they denied. So they absolutely knew who he was and what his name was. They just didn't want the defense to be able to put him on the stand or cross-examine him.
So I've got one question about the Rittenhouse case. One last question. Is this going to become a federal matter? The people are trying to pressure Merrick Garland at the DOJ to try him in federal court over this.
For what?
I don't know if that violates double jeopardy.
It does.
But there is a movement. We saw with Bill Cosby, a man who never should have been in a courthouse under the circumstances, was brought back in, put in prison for 3 years for no reason, and then finally freed. Some people are saying that Merrick Garland should try to go after Rittenhouse. Do you think that's going to happen?
I agree with what you said about Cosby. I hope, man, if they try that, first of all, it'll be the same result. They don't have any new evidence or anything. And if they don't get the same result, then there won't be a single Democrat elected in 2022. Everyone be sick of that. He's already been found not guilty. And you're like, oh, that's what totalitarian regimes do. Well, let's just keep throwing charges at people until we get the result we want. And it would be double jeopardy, but it's not like our rules aren't always enforced, you know? Like, there's a whole bunch of things that were unconstitutional, and they just do them anyway. Like, Biden should never have been able to mandate vaccines through executive order or have OSHA do it. You can't do that. And that actually was shot down by the court, but 2 months later, right? With Rittenhouse, even if he were... the feds went after him and he's not guilty again, that's still, a year or so of his life of fucking stress and money and shit that they're just going to put him through just to harass the kid. I think he needs to sue Joe Biden for defamation. You can't have this. He ain't just a guy. This is the president of the United States calling you white supremacist. And
it's also a waste of taxpayer money. These prosecutions are very expensive, and I think as you could make the libertarian argument, as a taxpayer, I don't want my tax dollars going to fight this hopeless case anymore.
Well, I didn't because I live in Japan, but I hear you. I took my taxes and left, but no, yeah, that and Littlefinger, the guy that looks like Littlefinger, what's his name, Binger, whatever. I don't think anybody wants him to be their prosecutor after that fucking performance. Like, so he's like, if you watch the tape in reverse, Kyle's chasing everyone around. Was waiting for a line like that. Like, so he wanted what do you call it, reckless or endangerment of the gun or whatever. And then this asshole points an AR-15 at the jury with his finger on the trigger.
Oh my god.
What a fucking asshole. Like, right, you just did what you accused Kyle of doing on film, in a courtroom, in front of a judge, pointing the gun at the fucking jury. You should be charged for reckless endangerment or whatever. Like, this is right after the Alec Baldwin shooting, right?
Oh god, yeah, we haven't even done a Four Horsemen since.
Oh my god, too. That guy, he was all anti-gun, but he's pew pew with his little fucking cow. You know, he's probably like spinning it around like they do in the cowboy movies, which no cowboy would ever fucking do. Who the fuck twirls a gun around? Nobody, right? Not more than once. He's probably just fucking horsing around like that and shot somebody. Who knows? But I don't think he did it on purpose. But that is actually worse.
The thing with Alec Baldwin that's kind of interesting is, the whole COVID restrictions. The whole argument is if it only saves one life, but that COVID restrictions actually could have led to that death because I don't know why any live rounds were on this movie set to begin with.
Yeah, it should have been the Brandon Lee amendment, right?
Yeah. The Crow.
You can't have live rounds.
There was a cart outside the building. Then the gun wrangler was not allowed in the building at the same time as the actor due to COVID restrictions. So the guns were placed on a cart, and there was a miscommunication, and I think the wrong gun was used. And so that's how it ended up happening. So COVID restrictions, in fact, led to a death. So
yeah.
Wasn't Alec Baldwin thinking about running for governor of New York or something like that once upon a time?
So. They'd probably
I think
still
around the
vote
time
for him.
Team America came out, he was talking about running for governor of California,
when
New York.
He called and left the message on the answering machine for his daughter. You are a rude little pig. I'm going to fly out.
You're rude, faultless little pig.
I'm going to fly out there on the 12th, and you better be ready.
De Blasio was demonizing Kyle Rittenhouse, talking about New Yorkers. Even Cuomo dusted off his balls to come out. He stopped groping women for a minute to come up and say some shit about Kyle Rittenhouse.
Oh, Meatball?
He stopped slapping fannies and killing grannies.
Oh, I'm talking about. By the way, if you're confused as to which Cuomo harassing women, I'm talking about Andrew, not Chris, because that doesn't really narrow it down anymore either, right?
It's amazing that that's what takes them down, not killing a bunch of old people by stuffing them in a nursing home full of COVID. That's
including old women. I mean, that like when you're killing old people, you're like, but some females also died. Some of them were probably homosexual.
Put him in there, and
if you want them to
he
count
grabbed him
New
by
York,
the ventilator.
You gotta
grabbed
have
by
it.
the ventilator.
You gotta play their own game against them, Ryan. Like you gotta be like, it was a left-handed Eskimo, transgender, Down syndrome.
Well, yeah, that's why I say like the invasion of Libya. Think of all the Arabs and blacks and Muslims and gays that got killed by Obama's bombings.
Yeah,
because if you're a straight white guy, I mean, I don't know, whatever, you don't count. You got to play the victimhood Olympics. Like, look at all the women that died and the children that died. Men, whatever, but like the women and children were killed by Obama's bombs. And we released Al Qaeda on Libya, and they were selling people for $400, and you made slavery great again in North Africa. I know. They want to rant against slavery of the 19th century, but not this century, caused by our fucking government and the Europeans blowing Libya back into the Stone Age. Over nothing. They were not about to attack his own people. God damn. And it's the media is responsible for all this shit. The race hustling, the war propaganda, all of that. It's MSNBC, it's CNN, it's ABC, CBS, Fox, it's all of them. That's where the misinformation. That's why fake news is one of the best memes ever. Your fake news.
Exactly. Fake news.
Fake news. You're lying
These
again.
people back here, these are scum. These are the enemy of the people back here. Total scum. He's everything when he does that read.
Well, we're coming up on 2 hours, so we'll kill it there. But Eric, why don't you, before we give plugs, why don't you just close us out with who have we not heard from tonight? I'm trying to think.
Well, we heard some from Jesse Ventura. I talked a little bit. I had a few things I had to say. I had to get off my chest. You know, like John McAfee, Ryan, who likes dumps being taken on his chest. I had to get some things off my chest. Okay. Yeah, I don't know who haven't I really done in a while. It's
what's your Scott Horton impression, or is that
oh Mike? I don't want to spoil that. Mike does Scott Horton's voice so well, talking about the Bin Ladenites. So you know what ended up happening? The world got proliferated with 30,000 Bin Ladenites. Okay, you know when he talks about the Bin Ladenites, Reed.
That
when he has the Dr.
Crystal was just money.
When he has that's the biggest flex when he had the Dr. Pepper. But you know, I'll bring up some Bill Clinton. I will say that I'm pulling for my friend Ghislaine. She gives a great blowjob. She gave me a lot of great blowjobs on Epstein's Lolita Express when we were island hopping and we were going over to African countries and running around with all them little orphans that Bill Gates wants to put needles up their asses. So I'm rooting for you, Ghislaine, and just don't say anything about those tapes of me with all the little girls on the island, okay? God bless you.
All right, where can we still follow you, Eric?
Yeah, I'm still up on Twitter and Instagram. Jackman Radio on Twitter. Give me a follow on there. And subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm almost at 2,000 subscribers on YouTube here on Jackman Radio. I'm still working on that channel. And, you know, give me a follow on there. And it's great to be back with you guys. I know I missed last month because I was road tripping down to D.C. and Virginia. And then just overcoming COVID. So this was really nice to come back to this and get out the other end of that. So I appreciate everyone tuning in. And, yeah, just make sure you subscribe to me on all the channels.
Yeah, I since you were gone last time, I did a Ventura impression. I don't know.
It's
if you
pretty
saw
good.
It was about as good as I could get. But
I thought that was pretty good.
I don't think I heard that, Reed. How was it? Was it any good?
Well, we were talking about the towers, and when I saw the towers, Eric, I saw them explode into powder.
They did. They blew into powder, ivermectin powder off of Joe Rogan's asshole.
All right, Ryan, where are you still not banned from?
Telegram, BitChute. I got my Rumble back. So I was banned. I got it back again. But Telegram, BitChute, and PeerTube, because that's our own. I got those. And Odysee. I got Odysee as well. Yep. Got like, I don't know, 19,000 on BitChute, like 3,000 or 4,000 on Odysee. Probably 3,000 on Telegram. It sucks, man. I was high rolling there for a while. I got near more 100,000. Now I'm down to like 20. It sucks. And I have Rain Akawa on YouTube, but I just live stream and then right after delete it because they'll give us strikes. You know, for hate speech or misinformation or whatever.
Being way too based.
It's because I mean, look, I'm wearing an End All Aid to Israel sweater. Like that pisses them off. Yeah. I've got a partial Epstein map right there. You know, like that tends to step on some toes. But yeah, Telegram is probably the main like Twitter replacement, and we have VK, which replaced Facebook. VK.com. All of y'all should make VK pages anyway. I mean, like if you think 4chan, like. Okay, 4chan you think is the bottom of the basement, but like even below that is VK. Because it's all the Facebook refugees and stuff.
All right, Dak.
Yes. Well, I'm not really on Twitter anymore. There's an overwritten Twitter account that people can follow. Reed, you always tag my personal Twitter account that I don't use. Haven't used it since January.
I updated that. You got it overwritten on this time.
That's all right. But people should really just follow me at my YouTube channel, Overwritten with Dak Rouleau. Reed and I do a video once a month. My wife, Christy, joins me for the Overwritten Book Club. We've been doing Machiavelli's The Prince recently. Nobody else will do videos with me anymore except you two. But beyond that, it's just on YouTube is where I've been for a while as I write my book about the 2020 election.
All right,
Oh.
everyone. I'm taking the rest of the week off, so I won't be streaming it.
Reed, you got to
what'd
see
you
this.
All right, what is it?
This is. I'm not gonna read the name because it's censorable, but it's a funny name, and they write this was like a 9/11 for pedophiles. Bravo! Hat tip to you, sir.
All right, guys.
It's
I'll be
been a
taking the
9/11
rest-
for pedophiles. Rosenbaum, Maxwell in the same month. I mean, yeah.
I'll be taking the rest of the week off, so I won't be live streaming, but I will catch you next week and give all these guys a follow. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. And we're saying that again. We're bringing Thanksgiving back. Happy Thanksgiving. We are.
Peace.